In the beginning, there was only chaos. Not the kind of chaos we think of today, but a vast, empty void, a formless nothingness that held all the potential of the universe, yet had no shape, no boundaries. It was a place of silence and darkness, where time did not exist, and neither did light or matter. This void was both unsettling and strangely peaceful, an emptiness so pure it was almost alive, waiting for something to stir within it. Out of this great void, something remarkable began to happen. Slowly, from chaos came Gaia, the earth. Unlike the cold, empty void, Gaia was full of life, warmth, and possibility. She wasn't just the ground we walk on or the mountains that rise into the sky, she was the very essence of life itself. She was the soil that would someday nurture forests, the rocks that would form mountains, the rivers that would flow across the land. Gaia's emergence was like the first heartbeat of the universe, a gentle pulse that brought life into the stillness of chaos. Gaia was not alone for long. Soon, another force came into being, Tartarus. Where Gaia was the earth and all its beauty, Tartarus was the deep abyss beneath. He was the opposite of Gaia in every way, a dark, shadowy pit that lay far below the earth, almost beyond reach. Tartarus was a place of mystery and fear, a prison for those who might later challenge the order of the universe. But for now, he existed silently beneath Gaia, balancing her warmth and light with his cold and darkness. Then came Eros, the force of love and attraction. But this wasn't the gentle love we might think of today. Eros was raw, powerful, and primal, the energy that would drive all creation. With Eros came the desire for things to come together, to connect, to create. It was Eros that drew Gaia and Tartarus into existence, the force that made the universe come alive. Without him, the universe would have remained a lifeless void, with Gaia and Tartarus forever apart, never knowing one another. As Gaia looked around her, she felt something stir within her. She wasn't content to remain alone in this new, strange existence. She yearned to create, to bring forth life and fill the empty spaces that surrounded her. So, Gaia gave birth to the sky, Uranus, and he stretched above her like a vast, protective canopy. Uranus was brilliant and expansive, glittering with stars and the promise of something greater. Together, Gaia and Uranus created a world of balance, the earth below, steady and nurturing, and the sky above, infinite and watchful. But even as the universe began to take shape, not everything was peaceful. From the union of Gaia and Uranus came children, but these children were unlike anything Gaia had imagined. They were strong, powerful beings, some with 100 arms and others with the ability to control the forces of nature itself. But Uranus, the proud sky, looked upon these children with disgust. He feared their power, feared what they might become, and so he locked them away in the depths of Tartarus, far from the light of the world. It was a harsh and cruel act, one that filled Gaia with anger and sorrow. Gaia, the mother of all things, could not bear to see her children trapped in the darkness. Her heart ached with the injustice of it all, and she vowed to free them. In her pain, she sought out one of her younger children, Cronus, and whispered to him of her plan. Cronus was not like his brothers and sisters. He was cunning, ambitious, and willing to challenge even the mighty Uranus. Gaia gave Cronus a sickle, a tool sharp enough to change the fate of the universe, and together, they plotted against Uranus. One night, as Uranus stretched across the sky, unaware of the danger that lay beneath, Cronus struck. With a swift and brutal motion, he severed Uranus from the earth, casting him away into the sky forever. The act was violent, filled with the rage and sorrow of a mother seeking justice for her children. From the blood of Uranus fell new life, beings that would forever change the course of history. Among them was Aphrodite, born from the sea foam, radiant and beautiful, embodying the love that had first brought the universe to life. But even as Gaia's children were freed, the universe was far from peaceful. Cronus, having overthrown his father, now took control of the world. But he, too, was plagued by the same fear that had gripped Uranus. Cronus knew that one day, one of his own children would rise against him, just as he had risen against his father. And so, he swallowed each of his children as they were born, trapping them inside him, preventing them from ever challenging his rule. Gaia's heart broke once more as she watched her grandchildren swallowed whole by their father. The cycle of fear and power seemed unending, a story written in the very fabric of the universe itself. But Gaia, ever the mother, would not give up. She turned to her youngest grandchild, Zeus, and together they would one day bring an end to Cronus' reign and shape the world as we know it. But before Zeus could rise, the universe continued to stir with the energies of chaos, Gaia, Tartarus, and Eros. These primal forces shaped the world in ways that could not yet be understood, weaving together light and darkness, love and fear, creation and destruction. Each force played its part, each one essential to the birth of everything that was and everything that would be. It was a time of raw power, a time when the very essence of the universe was still finding its form. It was a world where love and fear walked hand in hand, where creation was as much about destruction as it was about life. The gods had not yet taken their thrones, the heroes had not yet been born, but the foundation of everything was being laid, one heartbeat at a time, one spark of light in the darkness, one force against another, forever shaping what was to come. In the silence after chaos, the universe was alive with possibility, trembling with the tension of what might come next. Gaia, the earth, was alone, cradling all of life within her. She was strong and full of beauty, yet there was something missing. The sky above her was empty, and she longed for a companion to fill that vast space, someone to share her existence with. From her yearning, Uranus, the sky, was born. He stretched above her, vast and powerful, a glittering dome that embraced the earth in a protective, eternal bond. Together, they were complete, earth and sky, two halves of the same whole. For a while, there was harmony between them. Uranus spread his endless starry sky over Gaia, and she welcomed him. From their union, life began to flourish. Gaia gave birth to children, powerful and extraordinary beings. Among them were the Titans, strong and towering, the Cyclopes, with their single blazing eyes, and the Centaurs, giants with 100 arms. These children were like no others, each a force of nature, born of earth and sky. But not all was well between Gaia and Uranus. As her children emerged, Uranus began to change. The power of these new beings terrified him. The Centaurs, with their 100 arms and immense strength, made Uranus feel uneasy. The Cyclopes, with their fierce, burning eyes, were too wild, too uncontrollable. Even the Titans, who were meant to be rulers of the universe, seemed to Uranus a threat to his rule. Uranus grew cold and distant. He couldn't bear to look at these children, the ones who were meant to be his legacy. His fear overwhelmed him, turning to cruelty. Instead of allowing them to roam the world freely, to live in the light as they were born to do, Uranus did something unforgivable. He imprisoned his children. With a wave of his immense power, Uranus forced them deep into the earth, back inside Gaia's womb, where they would be trapped in eternal darkness. The weight of them was unbearable. Gaia, who loved her children fiercely, felt her heart break as they were sealed away in the depths of her own body, bound in chains of fear and hatred. Their cries echoed inside her, a torment she couldn't escape. They were her flesh and blood, and now they were lost to her, hidden from the world, their brilliance smothered by their father's cruelty. Gaia's pain turned to rage. How could Uranus, the sky she had created, betray her and their children like this? She couldn't stand by and let them suffer in silence. With every passing day, her sorrow and anger grew, until it became unbearable. She knew she had to act. Gaia went to her youngest child, Cronus, a Titan, and whispered to him of her plan. Cronus was different from his siblings. He was clever, calculating, and brave. He listened to his mother's grief and felt her fury burn inside him. Gaia crafted a sickle from the hardest stone, sharp and unforgiving, a weapon to match the depth of her sorrow. Cronus, holding the sickle in his hands, knew what had to be done. He was filled with a determination that only grew stronger as he thought of his siblings, trapped in darkness, and his mother, burdened by their weight. He could feel the weight of the sky pressing down on him, just as it did on Gaia, and he knew it was time to strike. One night, when the sky was heavy with stars and Uranus lay close to the earth, Cronus hid, waiting for the perfect moment. The silence of that night was thick, like the universe itself was holding its breath. Gaia watched from the earth below, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and hope. Would her son succeed, or would Uranus' power crush him as it had crushed their dreams? When Uranus drew near, Cronus leaped out from his hiding place. With a swift, powerful stroke, he raised the sickle and brought it down upon his father. The blow was fierce, driven by years of anger, betrayal, and love for his mother and siblings. Uranus, the mighty sky, cried out in pain as he was cut away from the earth. Blood rained down from the heavens, staining the ground below, but it was not just any blood. From it, new life began to stir. As Uranus retreated, weakened and broken, the children who had been locked away began to emerge. The Titans, the Cyclopes, and the Centaurs were finally free, stepping into the light of the world they had been denied for so long. Gaia wept with relief as she felt the burden lift from her, the weight of her children's suffering finally released. Her heart, though scarred, beat with the hope of a new beginning. But Uranus' defeat came with a price. Though he was now powerless, his voice still echoed through the sky. With his last breath, he cursed Cronus, declaring that one day, Cronus too would be overthrown by his own child, just as he had overthrown his father. It was a curse born of bitterness and fear, one that would haunt Cronus for the rest of his life. Cronus, now the ruler of the world, stood tall and proud, but the shadow of his father's curse hung over him. He took his place as the king of the Titans, determined to avoid the fate Uranus had suffered. Yet, as the years passed, that same fear began to take root in Cronus' heart, the fear of his children, the same fears that had poisoned Uranus. And so, the cycle of betrayal and suffering began again, as Cronus sought to control the future by preventing his children from ever being born. Gaia, though relieved by the victory over Uranus, watched in sorrow as Cronus began to follow the same path of cruelty. Her heart, heavy with the weight of fate, knew that the battle for the universe was far from over. Long before the gods ruled the heavens, there were the Titans, giants born of earth and sky, their presence larger than life, their power beyond comprehension. There were the first rulers of the cosmos, the children of Gaia, the nurturing earth, and Uranus, the endless sky. From the moment they opened their eyes, the universe trembled, for these were no ordinary beings. They were forces of nature, embodiments of the world's primal energy, boundless and fierce. Gaia loved her children deeply. She had given them life from her own being, and as they grew, she saw in them the future of the world. Each one was a reflection of the earth and sky, strong, unyielding, and filled with purpose. There were 12 of them, 6 brothers and 6 sisters, each as vast and powerful as the elements that shaped them. They stood tall, towering over the land, their footsteps shaking the mountains, their voices rolling like thunder across the heavens. But their father, Uranus, did not share Gaia's love. From the moment he looked upon his children, fear took root in his heart. He saw their strength, their size, their potential to challenge his authority, and it terrified him. In his mind, they were not his children, they were a threat. And so, instead of embracing them, he sought to control them, to keep them hidden away where their power would never grow. This fear poisoned the very air between Uranus and his offspring, casting a shadow over the joy of their creation. Among the Titans, there were those who stood out, their destinies intertwined with the future of the universe. Cronus, the youngest and most cunning, carried a quiet ambition that set him apart. While his siblings might have been content to live under their father's rule, Cronus burned with a desire for more. He listened closely to his mother's whispers, her tales of a better world where the Titans could be free, where they wouldn't have to live in fear of Uranus' wrath. Oceanus, the eldest, embodied the power of the seas. His vastness mirrored the oceans themselves, his presence as calming as the gentle waves, yet as fearsome as the raging storm. He circled the world, watching over its waters, his influence stretching to the farthest reaches of the earth. His calm demeanor often kept the peace among his siblings, but even he could feel the tension building beneath the surface. Hyperion, the Radiant One, was the Titan of light and the sun. His brilliance shone brighter than any star, his golden glow filling the world with warmth and life. Wherever he went, light followed, casting away the shadows that threatened to engulf the world. But even the light of Hyperion could not dispel the darkness growing between their father and the Titans. Thea, sister to Hyperion, was the Titaness of sight and the shining blue sky. Her eyes saw everything, the past, present, and future intertwined in her gaze. She could see the growing unease in her family, the way Uranus' fear was slowly corrupting the bond they once shared. Then there was Rhea, the Titaness of fertility and motherhood. She was the heart of the Titans, her nurturing spirit a beacon of hope for her siblings. Rhea's love for her family was boundless, and like her mother, Gaia, she believed in the beauty of creation. But even her warmth could not soothe the coldness that Uranus had brought into their lives. One by one, the Titans began to feel the weight of their father's oppression. They were trapped beneath the sky, their potential stifled, their power locked away by Uranus' fear. The world, which should have been theirs to rule, felt more like a prison with every passing day. And so, when Gaia came to Cronus, offering him the chance to overthrow Uranus, he didn't hesitate. Cronus, sharp and calculating, knew that this was the moment he had been waiting for. Armed with the sickle Gaia had crafted from the hardest stone, he set out to do what no one before him had dared. He would challenge Uranus, the sky himself. His siblings watched, torn between fear and hope, as Cronus prepared to face their father. The night of the revolt was silent, the air thick with anticipation. Cronus waited in the shadows, his heart pounding with both fear and excitement. When Uranus descended, stretching across the sky, unaware of the danger below, Cronus struck. The sickle, gleaming with the power of the earth, sliced through the sky, severing Uranus from Gaia. In that single moment, the world changed. Blood fell from the sky, staining the earth, and from that blood, new beings were born, the Furies, the Giants, and the spirits of vengeance. Uranus' reign was over, and Cronus stood victorious. The Titans were free. But freedom came at a cost, for as Uranus was cast away, he cursed Cronus with his final breath. One day, the same fate would befall Cronus. He, too, would be overthrown by his own children. The curse hung heavy in the air, a dark promise that the cycle of power and fear was far from broken. Now, with Uranus gone, the Titans took their place as rulers of the cosmos. Cronus, their new leader, was determined to shape the world as he saw fit. His siblings followed, each one taking command of a different part of creation. Oceanus continued to rule the seas, his power flowing through the rivers and oceans. Hyperion brought light to the world, his radiance chasing away the shadows. Thea watched over the skies, her vision guiding the Titans in their rule. For a time, the world flourished under the Titans' reign. There was peace, and the earth was filled with life. But the curse of Uranus lingered, like a storm cloud on the horizon. Cronus could not forget his father's final words. Fear began to creep into his heart, the same fear that had consumed Uranus. Cronus, once the liberator, now became the oppressor. He knew that his children would one day rise against him, just as he had risen against his father. And so, in an attempt to escape his fate, Cronus did the unthinkable. He swallowed his own children, one by one, as they were born. The cycle of betrayal and power continued, just as Uranus had foretold. The Titans, once free, now found themselves trapped again, this time by one of their own. The world trembled under the weight of Cronus' actions, and Gaia, once again, felt the pain of watching her grandchildren suffer. The Titans, who had been born to rule, were now bound by the very fear they had fought to escape. But this was not the end. The sky was heavy with silence, a silence that had lasted for far too long. Beneath its weight, Gaia, the earth, trembled with both grief and fury. Her children, the mighty Titans, the Cyclopes, and the 100-armed giants, had been buried alive, locked away by their own father, Uranus, the vast sky. Each day, she could feel them struggling within her, their cries echoing through her very core, but she was powerless to free them. The pain was unbearable, and with every breath, Gaia's sorrow turned to anger, then to a fierce determination. She could no longer watch as her children suffered. She knew what had to be done. Gaia, in her sorrow and rage, crafted a sickle from the hardest stone, sharp enough to cut through the sky itself. But it wasn't enough to simply create the weapon. She needed someone brave enough, strong enough, to wield it. That's when she turned to her youngest son, Cronus. Cronus had always been different, sharp, calculating, and unafraid of the power that his father wielded. As Gaia placed the sickle in his hands, she whispered to him, her voice trembling with emotion. This was not just an act of rebellion. This was about freeing their family from the suffocating grip of a tyrant who had long since forgotten the meaning of love. That night, the world held its breath. Cronus lay in wait, hidden in the darkness, while Uranus descended to be with Gaia, completely unaware of the storm that was about to break. The sky stretched across the earth as it always did, unaware of the quiet fury gathering below. Then, in a single, swift moment, Cronus struck. The sickle flashed in the dim light, and with a scream that tore through the heavens, Cronus severed Uranus' power, cutting him away from the earth forever. The moment the sickle struck, the universe seemed to shatter. From the wound in Uranus, blood poured down, staining the earth below. But this was no ordinary blood. It was filled with the raw, primordial power of the sky. As it touched the sea, something miraculous began to happen. The waters, once calm, began to churn, swirling with life and energy, as if stirred by an unseen force. From the foam of the sea, a figure began to emerge, rising slowly, as if the very essence of beauty itself was being born. Aphrodite. She rose from the sea with a grace and elegance that took the breath away. Her skin glistened like the surface of the ocean at dawn, her eyes shimmering with the light of the stars. She was beauty in its purest form, a creation born not of violence, but of love, an unexpected gift from the chaos of the world's first great betrayal. As she stepped onto the shore, every wave seemed to follow her, every breeze seemed to carry her name. She was not just another child of the gods, she was something new, something that had never existed before. Wherever she went, life bloomed. Flowers sprang from the ground beneath her feet, and the air itself seemed sweeter, lighter. There was something about her that was impossible to ignore, a magnetism that drew all living things to her, like moths to a flame. Aphrodite wasn't just a goddess of beauty, she was the embodiment of love, desire, and passion, forces that had the power to shape the world in ways even the Titans couldn't understand. But even as Aphrodite's beauty dazzled the universe, the consequences of Cronus' actions were still rippling through the cosmos. Uranus, though now powerless and cast aside, had not been silenced completely. With his last breath, he cursed his son, Cronus, for what he had done. He spoke of a future where Cronus, too, would be betrayed by his own child, where the cycle of fear and violence would continue, just as it had begun with him. Cronus, victorious but uneasy, tried to shake off the weight of his father's curse. He had won, he had freed his siblings and taken control of the cosmos. Yet, in the back of his mind, Uranus' words haunted him. The curse was like a shadow that followed him, growing darker with each passing day. Meanwhile, Aphrodite, untouched by the violence that had brought her into the world, began to find her place among the gods and goddesses. Her presence was like a balm to the universe, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, something beautiful could emerge. Her laughter echoed like music across the heavens, and wherever she went, she brought joy and desire, binding hearts together in ways that no other force could. As the Titans rose to power, and Cronus took his place as their king, Aphrodite remained a constant reminder of the balance between love and destruction. She was born from the chaos of Cronus' revolt, but she carried none of that darkness within her. Instead, she represented the possibility of something greater, something that could transcend the endless cycle of fear and power that had defined the lives of the Titans and their parents before them. The birth of Aphrodite was more than just a moment in time, it was a turning point in the cosmos. From the violence of Cronus' rebellion came the most beautiful force the universe had ever known, a goddess whose very existence was a testament to the power of love. Her origins were tied to one of the most painful events in the history of the gods, yet she was untouched by that pain, her heart pure, her beauty unspoiled. As Cronus ruled, and the weight of his father's curse loomed ever closer, Aphrodite's presence continued to grow. She became the symbol of hope, of life's ability to heal even the deepest wounds. Her laughter was a reminder that beauty could thrive even in the darkest corners of the universe, and her love, once unleashed, was unstoppable. The fall of Uranus had shaken the very foundations of the world, but from that fall, something extraordinary had emerged. Aphrodite, born from the sea foam, had brought with her the promise of a new kind of power, one not born from fear or violence, but from love and desire. In her, the world saw a future where beauty could rise from even the deepest wounds, and where love, not violence, could shape the fate of gods and men alike. The world lay under the rule of Cronus, a time so serene and prosperous that it would forever be remembered as the Golden Age. There was no war, no suffering, no hunger. Mortals lived in peace, their lives untouched by hardship, their hearts free from fear. Under the watchful eye of Cronus, the earth flourished. The trees were heavy with fruit, rivers sparkled with crystal-clear waters, and the fields were golden with crops that never failed to grow. It seemed as if the world had found its perfect balance, and for a moment, it truly had. Cronus, the youngest of the Titans, had seized the throne after overthrowing his father, Uranus. He stood tall, proud, and unchallenged, the cosmos bending to his will. The sky no longer groaned with the weight of his father's cruelty. Cronus had brought peace, and for this, the universe honored him. His siblings, the other Titans, revered him as their leader, and under his reign, everything thrived. But even in the quiet of this perfect age, there was a shadow that clung to Cronus, a seed of doubt buried deep in his heart. For when he had defeated Uranus, his father had cursed him with a dark prophecy. Just as Cronus had overthrown his own father, so too would one of his children rise up and overthrow him. The thought gnawed at Cronus, night and day. It whispered in the silence, lurking at the edges of his mind. He couldn't escape it, no matter how peaceful the world seemed. Cronus, though a ruler over all, was not free from fear. And fear, as it often does, led him to make terrible choices. He had married his sister Rhea, and together, they brought life into the world, one child after another. But each time Rhea gave birth, Cronus, consumed by the dread of the prophecy, took the newborn in his hands and swallowed them whole. One after another, he devoured them, hoping that by doing so, he could stop the future from unfolding. Rhea's heart shattered with every loss. She could no longer bear to see her children taken from her, to see the hope of a new life extinguished before it had even begun. She loved Cronus, but this was something she couldn't forgive. Her love for him clashed with her growing rage and sorrow, and soon, she knew she had to protect what little remained of her family. When Rhea became pregnant with her sixth child, a plan began to take shape in her mind. This time would be different. She was determined to save this child, no matter the cost. When the time came to give birth, she didn't let Cronus know. Instead, she fled to the island of Crete, far from his reach. There, in a secret cave hidden by the mountains, she brought her son into the world, Zeus. The moment she held him in her arms, she knew he was different. There was something about the way he looked at her, his eyes wide and full of life, as if the entire cosmos rested within him. Rhea kissed his tiny forehead, knowing that this child was special, that he would one day change everything. But for now, she had to keep him safe. To deceive Cronus, Rhea wrapped a stone in swaddling clothes and presented it to him as their newborn son. Without hesitation, Cronus swallowed the stone, believing he had once again thwarted the prophecy. He was blind to the truth, unable to see the storm that was quietly gathering strength in the hidden corners of the world. As Zeus grew, he was nurtured by the nymphs who lived on the island, and fed on the milk of Amalthea, a magical goat whose strength and vitality passed into him. He grew quickly, and with every passing day, he became more powerful, more aware of his destiny. The weight of the prophecy rested on his shoulders, but unlike his father, Zeus didn't fear it. He embraced it, knowing that one day, he would face Cronus and take his rightful place among the gods. Meanwhile, Cronus continued his reign, oblivious to the growing power of his son. The Golden Age still shone, but cracks had begun to appear, invisible to all but those who looked closely. The peace that once seemed unshakable now felt fragile, as if it were balanced on the edge of a knife. Cronus, in his attempts to control his fate, had unknowingly set it in motion. The very act of devouring his children had only strengthened the prophecy, binding his fate more tightly to the one he feared most. Years passed, and Zeus, now a young man, was ready. With the help of Metis, a clever and resourceful Titaness, he devised a plan to free his siblings from the belly of Cronus. Metis prepared a potion, a powerful elixir that would force Cronus to regurgitate the children he had swallowed. Zeus approached his father in disguise, offering him the drink as a gesture of loyalty. Cronus, unknowing, drank deeply, and soon after, the potion began to work. One by one, Zeus' siblings were freed: Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and Poseidon, all of them fully grown, their strength and power intact. Together, they stood with Zeus, ready to challenge their father, ready to fulfill the prophecy that had hung over their lives like a dark cloud. Cronus, seeing his children united against him, felt the same fear that had driven him to such terrible actions. The power he had once wielded over the cosmos seemed to slip through his fingers as his children, stronger and more determined than he could have ever imagined, rose against him. The battle that followed shook the heavens and the earth. Titans and gods clashed, their power tearing the skies apart, splitting mountains, and churning the seas. But in the end, it was Zeus who stood victorious. The prophecy had come to pass, as it was always meant to. Cronus, who had once ruled the universe, was defeated, his power broken, and his reign overthrown. He was cast down into Tartarus, the deepest pit of the underworld, where he would spend eternity imprisoned with the other titans who had fought alongside him. The Golden Age, once so bright, had come to an end. But from its fall, a new order would rise. Zeus, with his siblings by his side, took his place as the king of the gods, ushering in a new era. The world trembled on the edge of war, a war unlike anything it had ever known. The sky, once peaceful, seemed to hold its breath, heavy with tension. Below, on the earth, armies gathered. On one side stood the Olympian gods, led by Zeus, the youngest but most determined of his siblings. On the other stood the Titans, ancient and powerful, towering figures of unimaginable strength. This was not just a battle for power, but for the very soul of the universe. And when the first blow was struck, it echoed through the cosmos, shaking the foundations of existence. The Titans had ruled for as long as anyone could remember, their power stretching across time itself. Cronus, their leader, had once been invincible. But now, having been overthrown by his own son, Zeus, the Titans were not just fighting to regain control, they were fighting for their survival. The weight of ages bore down on them, and their pride would not allow them to yield to this new generation of gods. Zeus, his heart pounding, knew this was the moment everything would change. He had freed his brothers and sisters, Poseidon, Hades, Hestia, Demeter, and Hera, from their father's cruel grasp. Together, they had trained, grown stronger, and now they stood as a united front, ready to challenge the Titans for supremacy. Yet, even as Zeus raised his lightning bolt, the most powerful weapon ever forged, a part of him felt the burden of what was to come. His eyes glanced to the sky, searching for reassurance in the stars, but all he found was silence. The Titans roared, their voices shaking the heavens. Led by Atlas, Hyperion, and Iapetus, they charged with all the force of the cosmos behind them. The ground cracked beneath their feet, mountains crumbled in their wake. Zeus stood firm, his eyes locked on the approaching wave of fury. He could feel the earth shuddering beneath him, the sheer force of the Titans approach enough to make the bravest heart falter. But there was no turning back. This was the moment the Olympians had been preparing for. With a fierce cry, Zeus hurled his lightning bolt, and the sky exploded in a blinding flash of light. The bolt struck the earth with a force so great it split mountains, sending shockwaves through the very core of the world. The battle had begun. Poseidon, god of the seas, summoned waves as tall as mountains, crashing them down upon the Titans with relentless fury. The sea churned and roared, its dark waters swirling with the rage of the gods. But the Titans were unyielding. Oceanus, the Titan of the sea, rose to meet Poseidon's challenge. With a mighty roar, he pushed back the waves, his immense strength cutting through the fury of the ocean like a knife through water. The seas raged, Poseidon and Oceanus locked in a struggle that threatened to drown the world itself. In the underworld, Hades commanded the dead to rise, sending legions of spirits and shades to fight against the Titans. The ground opened up beneath the Titans' feet, swallowing them into the depths of Tartarus, the prison where they would one day be locked away. But even the underworld could not contain the Titan's strength. With a single strike, the mighty Titan Iapetus broke free, dragging himself from the dark abyss and hurling boulders the size of mountains at Hades. The sky above was a battlefield of its own. Zeus, with his lightning flashing across the heavens, faced the Titan Hyperion, god of light and the sun. The clash of their powers turned the sky into a storm of fire and light, blinding all who dared look up. Hyperion's strength was immense, his light burning with the heat of 1,000 suns. But Zeus, with the weight of destiny on his side, stood firm, his lightning bolts striking faster than the eye could follow. Every clash sent sparks raining down upon the earth, igniting forests and setting the world ablaze. As the battle raged, the Olympians and Titans fought with every ounce of their power. The earth quaked, the oceans roared, and the sky burned with the fury of gods. Neither side would yield, and the war seemed destined to destroy everything. But in the midst of the chaos, Gaia, the earth itself, watched with sorrow. She had birthed the Titans, and now she saw them facing the end. Her heart ached, not just for the children who fought on both sides, but for the world that was being torn apart. She knew that for the universe to survive, one side had to win, and it was the Olympians who carried the future in their hands. For 10 years, the war dragged on, each battle more brutal than the last. The world, once so full of life, was now scarred by the fury of the gods. Mountains lay in ruins, forests burned to ashes, and rivers ran red with the blood of gods and Titans alike. It seemed as though there would be no end to the suffering. But then, in the final hour, Zeus made a decision that would change everything. He called upon the most ancient and powerful beings who had been imprisoned in Tartarus, the Cyclopes and the Centaurs. These monstrous creatures had been locked away by Uranus, but now Zeus freed them, offering them a chance at redemption. The Cyclopes, master blacksmiths, forged weapons for the Olympians that would turn the tide of war. For Zeus, they crafted thunderbolts, each one charged with the power of the cosmos itself. For Poseidon, they created the trident, a weapon that could control the seas and shake the earth. For Hades, they forged the helmet of invisibility, granting him the power to move unseen through the battlefield. The Centaurs, with their 100 arms and immense strength, joined the battle alongside the Olympians, their sheer power overwhelming even the mightiest of the Titans. With their help, the Olympians launched a final assault on the Titans, breaking their lines and shattering their defenses. Zeus, with a fury born of years of suffering and loss, struck the final blow. His lightning bolt, charged with all the power of the universe, struck Cronus, his father, with such force that the sky itself seemed to split open. Cronus fell, his reign brought to a violent end, and with him, the Titans were defeated. The war was over. The Titans, once rulers of the cosmos, were cast down into the depths of Tartarus, imprisoned for eternity. The Olympians, scarred but victorious, stood as the new rulers of the universe. The Titanomachy had ended, but the world would never be the same. The scars of the war would remain, etched into the very fabric of existence, a reminder of the terrible price of power. But in the silence that followed, as the dust settled and the world began to heal, a new era began. Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, and their siblings took their places as the new gods, the rulers of Olympus, ready to shape the future with their strength and wisdom. The skies were finally still, the echoes of war fading into memory. Zeus stood at the peak of Mount Olympus, his eyes scanning the horizon, the weight of his victory heavy on his shoulders. He had fought for this moment, had faced his own father and the ancient Titans to claim what was now his. But standing there, with the clouds swirling beneath his feet and the heavens quiet for the first time in what seemed like an eternity, Zeus understood that this was not just a victory, it was the beginning of something far greater. The world had been torn apart by the war, scarred by the clash between gods and Titans, but now there was peace. And it was Zeus to protect. He had become the king of the gods, not just because of his power, but because he had earned it with every strike of his lightning, with every act of defiance against the fate that had tried to shape him. His brothers stood beside him, Poseidon, ruler of the seas, his trident glowing with an ethereal blue light, and Hades, the quiet but commanding lord of the underworld, whose very presence carried the weight of shadows. Together, they had divided the universe, but it was Zeus who held the throne, the sky bending to his will, the cosmos pulsing with his energy. Zeus remembered the prophecy that had haunted his father, Cronus, the same prophecy that had driven him to swallow his own children out of fear. It was this prophecy that had set everything in motion, the fateful words that foretold one of his sons would rise and take his place. But Cronus had misunderstood. It wasn't just power that gave Zeus the right to rule. It was his ability to lead, to command not just through strength, but through the wisdom and justice that the world now needed more than ever. The earth below him stirred, its wounds still raw from the battles that had raged across it. Mountains had been shattered, seas churned with the fury of gods, and the skies had burned with the fire of Zeus' lightning. The Titans had been powerful, nearly unbeatable, but in the end, they had fallen. Now, Zeus' task was not just to rule, but to heal. To rebuild. He knew that his reign would be tested, but for now, the universe bowed to him, and for the first time in his life, he felt the weight of true responsibility. It had been a long road to this moment, filled with betrayal, sacrifice, and unimaginable loss. Zeus had watched as his father, Cronus, consumed each of his siblings, one by one, fearing the very children he had brought into the world. Zeus had been spared, hidden by his mother Rhea, and raised in secret, far from Cronus' grasp. But even in that safety, the burden of his destiny had loomed large over him. He had known, even as a child, that one day he would face his father. And when that moment came, when Cronus had regurgitated his siblings and the war had begun, Zeus had felt the full force of fate pressing down on him. But now, that fate was his to control. With a flick of his wrist, Zeus called forth a bolt of lightning, letting it crackle in his hand. The power was intoxicating, its hum filling the air around him. Yet, it wasn't the lightning or the thunder that made him king. It was the vision he held for the future, the balance he sought to bring to the world. The Titans had ruled with raw, unchecked power, but Zeus knew that the world needed more than that. It needed order. It needed justice. Zeus turned to his brothers, their eyes meeting in a silent understanding. They had fought together, had bled together, and now they would rule together. But it was Zeus who held the final word. His voice would be the one to echo across the heavens, his decisions shaping the fate of gods and mortals alike. And then there was Hera, his sister and soon-to-be queen. She had stood by his side, fierce and unwavering, through every trial. Her loyalty had never wavered, and Zeus knew that together, they would bring a new era to the world. But Hera was not just a queen in name. She was powerful in her own right, her strength a match for any god. Their union would not be without its challenges. Zeus' heart had always been restless, his desires often leading him astray. But Hera's love for him was fierce, and though it would lead to many storms in their future, it was a love that would shape the very fabric of Olympus. The Olympians had won their place in the cosmos, but now they had to prove they were worthy of it. Zeus could feel the eyes of the world upon him, from the smallest mortal to the oldest god. They were all waiting, watching to see what kind of king he would be. And Zeus, for all his strength, felt the weight of those expectations pressing down on him. The wind stirred around him, whispering through the clouds, and Zeus closed his eyes, listening. He could feel the pulse of the universe, the delicate balance that now rested in his hands. Every decision he made from this moment on would ripple across time and space, shaping the lives of gods and mortals alike. He had fought for power, but now came the harder task of wielding it. The first challenge to his reign would come sooner than expected. The gods, though they had fought together, were not all aligned in their desires. Some still harbored ambitions, grudges, and old wounds that hadn't healed with the end of the war. Zeus would need to navigate these treacherous waters, keeping the peace among his own while also ensuring that the world below flourished under his rule. But in that moment, standing atop Mount Olympus, Zeus allowed himself a single breath of peace. He looked out over the vast expanse of sky and earth, the world that was now his to protect. The clouds parted, and for the first time since the war began, the sun broke through, its light shining down on the land below, bathing it in warmth. This was the dawn of a new age, an age of gods. and at its center stood Zeus, the king of kings, the ruler of the heavens, the lord of all. His heart swelled with the enormity of it all, and yet there was a calm within him. He was ready. For the first time in his life, Zeus knew that he was exactly where he was meant to be. With a crack of thunder, he raised his hand to the sky, and the heavens answered. The era of Zeus had begun. Hera stood at the peak of Olympus, her eyes fixed on the endless horizon. She had long ruled beside Zeus, but her power was her own, a force woven through every fiber of her being. Her beauty was unmatched, yet it was her fierce spirit, her unwavering determination, that made her the true queen of the gods. But beneath that regal composure, there was something else, a storm that churned deep within her heart, one born of love and betrayal, devotion and jealousy. Her love for Zeus had always been strong, forged in the fires of Olympus and bound by the sacred vows of marriage. But Zeus was not a husband who easily remained true to those vows. Time and time again, Hera had watched as he turned his gaze toward other women, mortal and immortal alike. Each time, the pain was sharper than the last, cutting through her heart like a blade. And yet, despite the agony, she could not turn away from him. Her love for Zeus, though often tested, burned as fiercely as the sun, and it was that love that fueled the depth of her anger, her jealousy. But Hera was no weak goddess, no fragile queen to be pitied. She was powerful, commanding the skies as Zeus did. And when her anger surged, the very earth trembled. She had been humiliated, yes, time and again by Zeus' infidelities, but she would never be defeated. For every slight, every betrayal, Hera found her strength. She would not suffer in silence. Instead, she would rise, her fury as fierce as any storm, her vengeance as swift as the lightning that Zeus himself wielded. There was the time Zeus had fallen for Io, a mortal woman, turning her into a cow to hide her from Hera's wrath. But Hera was no fool. She saw through the disguise, her heart simmering with a quiet rage. Rather than lash out at Zeus directly, she punished Io, sending a relentless gadfly to torment her wherever she went. It wasn't just about revenge, it was about power, about reminding Zeus and everyone else that Hera was not someone to be trifled with. Her justice was cold, precise, and unstoppable. And then there was Leto, the goddess who bore Zeus' twin children, Apollo and Artemis. Hera, consumed by jealousy, forbade any land to offer Leto refuge during her labor. Leto wandered in agony, searching for a place to give birth, while Hera looked on, her heart hardened by the betrayal she felt. But even in her jealousy, there was an odd kind of loyalty to her role as the protector of marriage. She had been wronged, but she would never allow her pain to dull her power. In the end, it wasn't weakness that drove Hera, but an unyielding sense of justice. She would protect the sanctity of her marriage, even if Zeus himself could not. But Hera wasn't just a goddess of vengeance. She was also the goddess of marriage, the protector of women and families. Mortals prayed to her for strength, for the courage to endure the hardships of marriage, for protection in childbirth. Her influence stretched far beyond the halls of Olympus, reaching into the hearts of those who sought her guidance. She understood the complexities of love, the pain of betrayal, and the deep desire for loyalty. She wasn't blind to the imperfections of marriage, and perhaps that's what made her the ideal goddess to watch over it. She knew better than anyone how fragile it could be. For all her power, though, Hera's heart was often heavy. The weight of Zeus' betrayals pressed down on her, but it was not enough to break her. Instead, it made her stronger, sharper, more determined. She became the embodiment of endurance, of love that could survive even the deepest wounds. There was no denying her jealousy, but it was a jealousy born from the deepest kind of love, a love that demanded loyalty, a love that expected devotion. And when that loyalty was broken, Hera's anger was fierce, but it was never unjust. Her relationship with Zeus was far from simple. There were moments, rare as they were, when he looked at her with the same devotion she gave to him. Moments when his eyes softened, and he saw not just a queen but the woman who had stood by him through it all. Hera clung to those moments, though they came less and less as the years passed. She knew that Zeus, for all his power, was flawed, driven by desire, by the need to prove his dominance. But she also knew that without her, Olympus would fall into chaos. She was the balance to his thunder, the calm before and after the storm. Without her, even Zeus would be lost. And yet, in her moments of solitude, Hera's mind would wander. She would think of all the times Zeus had strayed, of the children born from his unfaithfulness, and her heart would harden once again. Her love for him was as fierce as ever, but so was her resolve. She would not allow herself to be made a fool of. She would hold her head high, her crown gleaming in the sunlight, her power undeniable. And if that power was sometimes wielded in jealousy, it was only because her heart demanded justice. Her influence extended far beyond the throne of Olympus. Mortal women prayed to her for strength in their marriages, for protection in childbirth, and for justice when they were wronged. Hera, for all her flaws, was a goddess who understood them. She knew the weight of love, the pain of betrayal, and the power of forgiveness. She had lived it all, and in doing so, had become a goddess both feared and revered. In the end, Hera was not defined by Zeus' betrayals, but by her ability to endure them. Her jealousy, though fierce, was a reflection of her love, a love that could not be diminished, no matter how many times it was tested. She was the queen of the gods, and no matter how many storms she faced, she remained unshakable, her power a force that even Zeus himself could not deny. The skies above Olympus would always belong to Zeus, but the heart of Olympus, the unwavering strength, the enduring love, the fierce sense of justice, that belonged to Hera. And as long as she stood by Zeus' side, the gods and the world would know that there was no force more powerful than the queen of the gods herself. The ocean roared as Poseidon emerged from its depths, his trident glinting in the pale light of the moon. The waves seemed to bend to his will, swelling and crashing at his command, their power a reflection of the god who ruled them. There was no peace in Poseidon's domain, only a constant surge of motion, the sea alive with untamed energy. And Poseidon himself was no different, his heart as wild and unpredictable as the waters over which he reigned. He had always been a force to be reckoned with, from the day he first claimed the oceans as his kingdom. The vast expanse of water was his to control, and with it came an immense, untamable power. Yet, with that power came a restlessness that never seemed to leave him. Poseidon's nature was stormy, prone to sudden bursts of anger and moments of deep calm that could shift in the blink of an eye. He was as unpredictable as the seas, and just as dangerous when stirred. Sailors whispered his name in both reverence and fear, knowing that their fates were tied to his whims. When Poseidon was pleased, the waters were smooth, a soft breeze guiding their ships to shore. But when his fury was unleashed, the ocean became a graveyard of broken vessels, swallowed whole by towering waves that seemed to rise from the very soul of the earth. No one could control Poseidon, not even the gods. His temper was legendary, and when anger gripped him, even Olympus trembled. But there was more to Poseidon than just his rage. He was the protector of the seas, and within the depths of his waters lay entire worlds, teeming with life. The creatures of the ocean were his children, and the waves sang his name as they danced across the surface. Poseidon's bond with the sea was not just one of power, but of love, an ancient, primal love for the waters that stretched endlessly before him. He could feel the pulse of the tides as if it were his own heartbeat, the pull of the moon guiding the rise and fall of the waves, just as his emotions guided the rise and fall of his temper. Yet, despite his connection to the ocean, Poseidon always seemed to want more. The sea was vast, but it wasn't enough to satisfy the depth of his ambition. His eyes often turned to the land, where his brother Zeus reigned supreme. Poseidon believed that the earth itself should bend to his will, just as the sea did. And so, when he struck his trident against the ground, the earth trembled, mountains shaking, and cities crumbling in the wake of his wrath. Earthquakes were his calling card, a reminder to mortals and gods alike that Poseidon's power stretched far beyond the shore. His desire for control over the land was not without consequence. Poseidon's volatile nature often put him at odds with Zeus, and their clashes sent ripples through both the heavens and the earth. Yet, for all his power, Poseidon remained in the shadows of Olympus, never quite able to claim the same glory that Zeus held in the skies. It gnawed at him, this feeling of being second, of ruling a domain that was wild and untamed but never truly enough. It fueled his anger, turning his heart into a storm that could never be calmed. But Poseidon was not simply a god of rage. Beneath the thunder of his temper and the destruction he could wreak, there was a deep, aching loneliness. The sea, for all its beauty and power, was a vast, empty place. He had ruled it for eons, but it often felt like the waves whispered secrets he could never quite understand, their depths unreachable even for him. There were moments, fleeting as they were, when Poseidon longed for something more, something that would anchor him in the same way the sea anchored the world. He sought that connection in mortals, in the women who caught his eye and stirred something within him that he couldn't quite explain. But those relationships, too, were like the tides, temporary, rising and falling with the phases of the moon, never lasting. Poseidon's children, born from these unions, were often just as wild as he was, beings of the sea and land who carried their father's temper and strength. Yet, none of them could fill the void within him. None of them could still the storm that raged in his soul. There were few who could truly understand Poseidon's heart, the way it beat in time with the crashing waves, the way his emotions surged like a storm on the horizon. He was a god of contradictions, fierce and protective, loving and vengeful, calm and tempestuous all at once. His love for the sea was as deep as the ocean itself, but his ambition for more was just as vast. For all his faults, Poseidon was a protector. When the seas were threatened, he rose to defend them with a ferocity that could shake the heavens. The ocean was his domain, and no one could take that from him. He had fought for it, had claimed it as his own when the world was still young, and he would fight for it again if he had to. The creatures of the sea, the waves that crashed upon the shore, the endless horizon, they were all his, and he loved them in a way that only a god of the sea could. But love, for Poseidon, was never gentle. It was fierce, all-consuming, like a wave that drags you under and leaves you gasping for air. His love for the sea was intertwined with his anger, his jealousy, his desire for control. And when that love was challenged, when anyone dared to threaten his kingdom or his pride, Poseidon's fury was unlike any other. The ocean would rise, the skies would darken, and the earth itself would tremble beneath his feet. Yet, in the quiet moments, when the storms had passed and the seas were calm, Poseidon would stand at the edge of the world, staring out over the waters he ruled. The wind would carry the scent of salt, the waves would lap gently at the shore, and for a brief moment, the storm within him would settle. He would close his eyes, feeling the pulse of the ocean beneath his skin, and in that stillness, there was a glimpse of peace, a peace as fleeting as the tide, but enough to remind him of the power and beauty that was his to command. Poseidon, the lord of the seas and the earth's tremors, would always be a force of nature, wild and untamable. But beneath the waves and the fury, there was a god who loved deeply, even if that love was sometimes as destructive as the storms he created. In the dim light of the underworld, where shadows dance and whispers echo, Hades sat upon his dark throne, a figure of solemn dignity and commanding presence. The underworld was his domain, a kingdom of silence and stillness, where the souls of the departed wandered through its endless corridors and shadowed groves. It was a realm of quiet gravity, where the finality of death was both respected and feared. Hades ruled this somber world with a quiet authority, his presence a constant reminder of the inevitable end that awaited all. The underworld was not a place of torment, as many believed, but rather a kingdom of order, where every soul had its place. The river Styx flowed through its heart, a dark stream that separated the living from the dead. Charon, the stern ferryman, carried the souls across its waters, ensuring they reached their final resting place. The fields of asphodel stretched out like a gray sea, where ordinary souls wandered, their existence a gentle echo of their lives on earth. The Elysian fields were a haven for those who had lived virtuous lives, their peace a reward for their goodness. And Tartarus, the deepest abyss, held the souls who had defied the gods, their punishment a grim reminder of the power of divine justice. Hades himself was a figure of contrast, stoic yet deeply compassionate, feared yet revered. His role was not merely to preside over the dead, but to ensure that the balance of life and death was maintained. He understood that death was not an end, but a transition, a journey from one state of being to another. He met each soul with a solemn respect, guiding them to their appropriate place, his heart heavy with the weight of his responsibility. Yet, despite his crucial role, Hades was often misunderstood. The myths painted him as a cold and unfeeling god, but this was far from the truth. He carried the burden of his domain with a quiet strength, his compassion hidden beneath a facade of sternness. He was a god of balance, of finality, and his sense of duty was unwavering. To the souls who passed through his kingdom, he was a guide, a keeper of order in a world that had ended. His relationship with Persephone, his queen, was a source of both solace and complexity. She had come to him from the world above, her presence a light in the darkness of his realm. Their love was unconventional, forged in the shadows of the underworld, but brightened by genuine affection. Persephone was not just a companion, but a partner in the governance of the dead. She brought a warmth to the cold corridors of the underworld, her presence a beacon of hope and renewal in a place often associated with finality and despair. In moments of quiet, Hades would walk through his realm, his steps echoing softly in the stillness. The souls would watch him with a mix of respect and awe, their existence marked by the grace with which he carried out his duties. He would often pause at the banks of the Styx, watching as Charon guided the souls across the river, his gaze softening as he observed the passage from life to death. He knew that his realm was not a place of cruelty but of justice and order, and he took great care to ensure that this was reflected in every aspect of his domain. Hades' role extended beyond mere administration. He was also a guardian of the memories and legacies of the souls who passed through his realm. Each life that ended in his kingdom left behind a story, a legacy that was cherished and remembered. Hades understood the importance of these stories, their impact on the world of the living, and he honored them with the respect they deserved. His realm was a place where the past was preserved, where the echoes of lives lived continued to resonate. Despite the serene order of his kingdom, there were moments when even Hades felt the weight of his responsibilities. The occasional unrest among the souls, the cries for mercy, and the weight of eternal judgment were not without their toll. Yet, he bore these burdens with a steadfast heart, knowing that his role was crucial to the balance of the cosmos. His presence in the underworld was not just a function of authority but a reflection of his deep commitment to maintaining the equilibrium between life and death. Hades' kingdom was a place of profound silence, where the whispers of the past mingled with the stillness of the present. It was a realm where every soul found its place, where the end was not to be feared but understood. As the king of the underworld, Hades embodied the finality of death, but also its continuity. His was a realm of peace amidst the shadows, a place where the end of one journey marked the beginning of another. In the quiet corridors of the underworld, Hades was a guardian of endings and beginnings, a keeper of the balance between life and death. His role was vital, his heart heavy with the weight of his duty, but his presence was a testament to the order and respect that governed his dark, silent realm. Every field and orchard sang her name, from the tiniest seedling to the grandest oak. Demeter, goddess of the harvest and agriculture, was the tender guardian of all that grew from the earth. Her touch turned barren soil into lush fields, her breath brought life to the crops, and her presence was a promise of the bounty that each season would yield. But behind the endless abundance of grain and fruit lay a story of profound love and heartache, woven into the very fabric of the seasons. In the beginning of spring, as the world awoke from its winter slumber, Demeter's joy was palpable. The earth stretched out its arms to receive the warmth she bestowed upon it. Her laughter was carried on the breeze, coaxing buds from branches and sprouting greens from the soil. Fields once covered in frost now burst with color and life. It was Demeter who breathed vitality into the land, guiding it from the quiet dormancy of winter into the vibrant splendor of spring and summer. Her heart was in every golden ear of wheat, every plump, ripe fruit, and every verdant leaf. But Demeter's joy was tempered by a sorrow that shadowed her every season. Her daughter, Persephone, was the light of her life, a radiant presence who brought warmth and love to her heart. Their bond was a deep, unbreakable connection, a beautiful harmony that made every harvest more precious. Yet, this bond was constantly tested by the cycles of the world they inhabited. Persephone's time with her mother was fleeting, interrupted by the harsh reality of her existence. Each year, when autumn arrived, Demeter's joy began to wane. The harvest was gathered, the fields were cleared, and the vibrant greens of summer faded into the muted tones of fall. It was during this time that Demeter's heart ached with a profound emptiness. She knew that Persephone, who had been taken by Hades to the underworld, would soon return to her, but the separation was always a deep, aching wound. The moment Persephone left, Demeter's joy ebbed, and the world felt the weight of her sorrow. The fields grew cold, and the once verdant lands fell into the quiet dormancy of winter. Winter was a time of stark contrast to the vibrant warmth of spring and summer. It was a season of rest, but also of grief. The earth lay still, a frozen landscape that mirrored Demeter's heart. The land was bare, the crops were gone, and the world seemed to hold its breath in anticipation of the return of spring. During these months, Demeter's sorrow was a palpable force. She wandered the earth in search of her daughter, her grief evident in the barren fields and lifeless lands. Her love for Persephone was so profound that it touched every aspect of her being, and her longing for her daughter's return turned the earth into a reflection of her sadness. But with the arrival of spring, everything changed. The ice began to melt, the first shoots of green broke through the soil, and Demeter's heart was lightened by the promise of reunion. As Persephone returned from the underworld, the world seemed to awaken anew. The fields burst forth with life, flowers bloomed, and the earth sang once more with the vitality that Demeter had nurtured. The reunion of mother and daughter was a celebration that restored balance to the world, a moment of joy that made the harshness of winter worth enduring. Demeter's role was not only to guide the cycles of growth and harvest, but also to embody the profound connection between love and loss, hope and despair. Her dominion over agriculture was a reflection of her own emotional journey, a testament to the powerful bond she shared with her daughter. The cycles of the seasons were a mirror of her heart, showing the depth of her love and the pain of her separations. Every harvest was more than just a bounty of crops, it was a reminder of the love between Demeter and Persephone. Each season was a chapter in their story, with spring and summer representing the joy of their togetherness and autumn and winter reflecting the pain of their separation. Yet, through it all, Demeter remained a symbol of resilience and hope. Her care for the earth, her nurturing of the crops, and her unwavering love for her daughter made her an enduring figure of strength and grace. The fields flourished under Demeter's watchful eye, each grain and fruit a testament to her enduring love and dedication. The changing seasons were a reminder of the eternal cycle of life, a reflection of the goddess who brought both the joys of harvest and the quiet moments of reflection. Demeter's influence extended far beyond the boundaries of the fields and orchards, touching every aspect of life and reminding everyone of the deep connection between the land and the love that sustains it. In the quiet heart of every home, where the comforting crackle of a fire and the gentle warmth of a hearth offer solace from the outside world, there was Hestia, the goddess who watched over these sacred spaces. Her presence was as gentle and constant as the glow of the hearth she represented, a beacon of warmth and security in a world often filled with uncertainty and chaos. Hestia was not the kind of goddess who sought grand displays of power or dramatic tales of conquest. Instead, her story was woven into the very fabric of daily life, in the simple, sacred moments that made a house into a home. She was the guardian of the hearth, the symbol of family and unity, and her influence was felt in the everyday acts of care and togetherness that defined human life. When families gathered around the hearth, it was Hestia's presence they felt in the warmth of the fire and the comfort of the home. She was the unseen force that brought people together, the quiet strength that held their lives in balance. Her role was often overshadowed by the more dramatic tales of the gods, but her influence was no less profound. The hearth was where life's most tender moments unfolded, where stories were shared, where meals were prepared with love, and where the bond of family was nurtured and strengthened. Every meal cooked over the hearth was a tribute to Hestia's enduring presence. The simple act of preparing food became a ritual of connection and gratitude, a way of honoring the goddess who made such gatherings possible. Each flicker of the flame was a reminder of the warmth she provided, the security she ensured, and the sense of belonging she fostered. Hestia's care was not just for the physical space of the hearth, but for the emotional space it created, a haven where people could come together and find comfort in one another. In ancient Greek homes, the hearth was considered sacred, and so was Hestia. Her presence was honored with offerings of the first and last portions of food prepared. This practice was more than a ritual, it was a recognition of her role in the daily lives of families, a way of acknowledging the quiet, steadfast love she offered. Hestia's influence was felt not in grand gestures, but in the everyday acts of kindness and care that took place around the hearth. She was the goddess of the ordinary, the patron of the simple, the unsung moments that shaped lives and families. Yet, Hestia's story was not without its own trials. She had chosen a life of solitude, stepping away from the competitive struggles of her fellow gods to focus on her sacred duty. While others pursued glory and power, Hestia embraced the role of quiet guardian. Her choice was a testament to her character, a decision to dedicate herself to the service of others, to be the steadfast presence that ensured the continuity of family and home. In doing so, she became a symbol of sacrifice and devotion, her heart as warm as the fire she protected. Hestia's home was not just any home, it was a place of peace and stability, where the chaos of the outside world could be left behind. Her influence extended beyond individual homes to the community as a whole, binding people together in a shared sense of belonging and unity. She was the glue that held the social fabric together, the goddess who made sure that everyone had a place to call home, a space where they could feel safe and loved. In the quiet moments of reflection, when the day's activities settled and the hearth's fire was the only light, Hestia's presence was felt most profoundly. The warmth that radiated from the fire was more than just physical heat, it was the comfort of knowing that there was always a place where one could find solace and security. Hestia's influence was a reminder of the importance of home and family, the value of taking time to nurture and cherish those closest to us. Her story was one of selfless devotion, of putting the needs of others before her own desires. Hestia's life was a testament to the power of love and care, of the impact that one quiet, steadfast presence could have on the lives of many. Her role may not have been as celebrated as some of her fellow deities, but her contributions were no less significant. She was the heart of every home, the guardian of family bonds, and the embodiment of the warmth and love that made a house into a sanctuary. In every crackle of the fire, in every shared meal, and in every moment of togetherness, Hestia's legacy lived on. She was a reminder that the most profound impacts are often found in the simplest of places, in the quiet moments of daily life where love and care are expressed. Her presence was a beacon of warmth and security, a testament to the enduring power of home and family. Through the ages, her story continued to inspire and comfort, reminding everyone of the value of the ordinary moments that make life truly extraordinary. In the golden glow of the sun, where light dances and music flows, Apollo stood as a beacon of brilliance and prophecy. His presence was as radiant as the sun's rays and as melodic as the lyre he played. Apollo was more than a god, he was a force of inspiration and wisdom, casting his light upon every corner of the world and touching countless lives with his gifts. With a lyre in his hand and a psalm on his lips, Apollo's music could stir the very soul. His melodies were not just tunes, but symphonies of life that resonated with the deepest parts of the heart. Each note he played seemed to hold the power to heal, to uplift, and to transform. Apollo's music was a gift that connected people to something greater, offering them a taste of the divine harmony that underpinned the cosmos. The echoes of his melodies could be heard in the rustling leaves, the flowing rivers, and the whisper of the wind. His music was a reminder of the beauty and order that existed in the world, a soothing balm for troubled spirits and a source of inspiration for artists and poets. Yet, Apollo's gifts extended beyond music and light. He was also the god of prophecy, his words carrying the weight of divine truth. The oracle at Delphi was his most revered temple, where the veil between the mortal and divine was thinnest. Here, the Pythia, a priestess of Apollo, would fall into a trance and speak the god's words. The prophecies given by the oracle were not mere predictions, but profound insights into the workings of fate and the will of the gods. The oracle of Delphi was a place of profound mystery and reverence. People from all over Greece would journey to Delphi seeking guidance on their most pressing questions. The air in the temple was thick with anticipation and awe as the Pythia, under Apollo's divine influence, would offer cryptic yet insightful answers. The prophecies were often enigmatic, reflecting Apollo's nature as both a bringer of light and a harbinger of deeper truths. The answers were sometimes veiled in riddles, challenging seekers to look beyond the obvious and seek the deeper meaning hidden within the divine words. Apollo's influence over the oracle was both awe-inspiring and humbling. He was a bridge between the human and the divine, his presence a constant reminder of the vastness of knowledge and the mysteries of fate. Those who sought his guidance were not just looking for answers, but seeking a connection to something greater, a glimpse into the grand design that governed their lives. Apollo's words, delivered through the Pythia, were a reflection of his boundless wisdom and his deep understanding of the human condition. But Apollo's role was not without its challenges. The weight of his responsibilities was immense, and the burden of prophecy was not always easy to bear. The words he spoke carried a responsibility, a need to guide and enlighten while remaining true to the divine will. His light shone brightly, but it also cast shadows that revealed the complexities of fate and the uncertainties of life. The beauty of Apollo's influence lay in its balance. He was a god of harmony, his light and music creating a symphony of existence that reflected the order and grace of the cosmos. His prophecies, though sometimes cryptic, were a testament to the intricate dance of destiny and free will, a reminder that the path of life was both guided and uncertain. Apollo's connection to the world was profound and deeply felt. His presence was in the sunlight that warmed the earth, the music that stirred the heart, and the prophecies that guided the soul. He was a figure of inspiration and wisdom, his gifts a reflection of the divine beauty that underpinned the world. Each day, as the sun rose and his melodies echoed through the air, Apollo's legacy continued to touch lives, his influence a reminder of the profound connection between the human and the divine. In the quiet moments of reflection, when the sun cast its golden light and music filled the air, Apollo's presence was a reminder of the beauty and mystery of existence. His role as god of light, music, and prophecy was a testament to the enduring power of inspiration and wisdom, a gift that continued to illuminate the lives of those who sought his guidance and felt his influence. Apollo was more than a deity. He was a symbol of the divine harmony that connected all things, a beacon of light in a world full of wonder and mystery. In the stillness of the ancient forest, where the trees whispered secrets and the moonlight danced through the leaves, Artemis, the goddess of the hunt and wilderness, moved like a force of nature itself. Her presence was both fierce and serene, a testament to the untamed spirit of the wild and the grace of the natural world. Artemis was a symbol of independence and a guardian of the forests, embodying the raw, unyielding beauty of nature in its most primal form. With a bow slung across her shoulders and arrows poised for flight, Artemis roamed the wilderness with a quiet strength. She was a master huntress, her skills unmatched by any other. Yet, her hunting was not driven by cruelty or conquest, but by a deep respect for the balance of nature. Her role was to maintain the harmony of the wild, ensuring that every creature had its place and every part of the ecosystem thrived in its own way. Her hunting was a dance of precision and balance, a way of engaging with nature's rhythms rather than disrupting them. Artemis was also a virgin goddess, a figure of independence who cherished her freedom and autonomy above all. She was known for her refusal to be bound by the constraints of marriage or domestic life, choosing instead to live in the wilderness and embrace the solitude of the natural world. This independence was not just a personal choice, but a declaration of her power and self-sufficiency. Artemis was a goddess who did not conform to the expectations placed upon her. She forged her own path, guided by her own rules and desires. Her bond with the natural world was profound and deeply personal. Artemis was not merely a protector of the wild, she was a part of it. Her connection to the forests and the creatures that lived within them was a reflection of her own spirit. She understood the intricacies of the natural world in a way that was almost mystical, her presence a reminder of the delicate balance that existed between life and the wild. In the heart of the forest, Artemis was both a guardian and a muse. Her presence inspired awe and reverence among those who encountered her. To see Artemis was to witness the embodiment of nature's raw beauty and strength. Her eyes, sharp and keen, seemed to hold the secrets of the forest, and her movements were fluid and graceful, as if she were part of the very fabric of the wilderness. The way she interacted with the world around her was a testament to her deep understanding and respect for the natural order. Artemis's independence was also a source of inspiration. Her choice to remain unmarried and live in the wild was a powerful statement of self-reliance and freedom. She did not need the constraints of society to define her worth or her role in the world. Instead, she found her purpose in the freedom of the hunt and the serenity of the wilderness. This aspect of Artemis's character resonated deeply with those who sought to break free from societal expectations and live life on their own terms. Her followers, often young women who admired her strength and independence, looked to Artemis as a symbol of empowerment and self-determination. To them, she was a guiding light, a reminder that they too could chart their own course and live life according to their own desires. Artemis's influence was felt in the choices they made and the paths they forged, her spirit of independence and self-reliance echoing through their lives. Yet, Artemis's story was not without its moments of tenderness and vulnerability. Despite her fierce nature and unyielding independence, she had a deep compassion for the creatures of the forest. Her heart ached for those who suffered or were in danger, and she would often step in to protect them. Her compassion was a reflection of her profound connection to the natural world, a testament to her role as a guardian who cared for all living things. In the quiet of the forest, under the gentle glow of the moonlight, Artemis's presence was a reminder of the enduring beauty and strength of nature. Her role as the goddess of the hunt and wilderness was a reflection of the wild's majesty and the importance of maintaining harmony within it. She was a symbol of independence and self-reliance, a goddess who lived life on her own terms and found her purpose in the untamed beauty of the world around her. Artemis's influence extended far beyond the forest and the hunt. She was a beacon of strength and freedom, her spirit inspiring those who sought to embrace their own independence and connect with the natural world. Her legacy was one of grace and power, a reminder that true beauty and strength lay in living in harmony with nature and remaining true to oneself. Through her, the wild remained a place of wonder and inspiration, a testament to the enduring power of the natural world and the goddess who watched over it with unwavering dedication. In the midst of an epic clash of gods and titans, a powerful figure emerged from the heart of battle, a goddess born from a moment of extraordinary intensity and divine will. Athena, the goddess of wisdom and warfare, came into existence not through the typical means of birth, but through a startling and unforgettable moment of divine intervention. The story of Athena's birth is as awe-inspiring as the goddess herself. Her father, Zeus, the king of the gods, experienced a fierce and excruciating headache. This was no ordinary ailment but a divine signal that something monumental was about to happen. In the midst of his pain, Zeus summoned the skilled blacksmith Hephaestus, who, with his hammer and fiery forge, split open Zeus's head. From this divine act, Athena sprang forth fully grown and armored, her eyes shining with the wisdom of ages and her presence exuding an aura of strength and determination. The sight of Athena emerging from her father's head was a testament to her unique nature, an embodiment of both intellect and might, a goddess forged from the very essence of divine wisdom and strategic prowess. Athena's arrival was nothing short of miraculous. With a helmet on her head and a shield in her hand, she stood as a formidable figure, representing the union of tactical acumen and warrior spirit. Unlike other deities who were associated with chaotic conflict or brute strength, Athena's approach to warfare was marked by strategy and reason. She was not only a warrior but a strategic mastermind, guiding battles with her keen intellect and foresight. Her role as a strategic warrior set her apart from others. Athena was revered not just for her skill in combat, but for her ability to think ahead, to plan meticulously, and to ensure victory through careful and calculated means. Her wisdom was legendary. She could foresee the outcomes of battles and advise heroes with insights that could turn the tide of war. Her counsel was sought by leaders and warriors alike, who understood that victory was not only about strength, but also about making the right decisions at the right time. In the annals of Greek mythology, Athena's influence was profound. She played a pivotal role in many legendary tales, guiding heroes such as Odysseus and Perseus. Her wisdom helped Odysseus navigate the treacherous journey home from the Trojan War, and her strategic guidance was crucial in his encounter with the Cyclops and other formidable foes. For Perseus, Athena's advice and assistance were invaluable in his quest to slay the Gorgon Medusa. In each of these stories, Athena's strategic mind and warrior spirit were crucial in achieving success. Beyond her role in battle, Athena was also a goddess of wisdom and learning. Her intellect was unmatched, and she was a patron of those who sought knowledge and understanding. She represented the ideal of wisdom that combined practical knowledge with moral insight, guiding humanity not just through physical challenges, but also through the complex maze of ethical and intellectual pursuits. Athena's wisdom extended to the arts and crafts, reflecting her belief in the importance of skill and creativity in human endeavors. Athena's dual role as a warrior and a wise goddess was a reflection of her balanced nature. She was fierce in battle, but also nurturing of wisdom and learning. Her presence was a source of inspiration for those who sought to combine strength with intellect, to fight with both courage and clarity. Athena's influence was felt in the pursuit of justice and the quest for knowledge, as she stood as a guiding light for those who sought to navigate the complexities of life and conflict. Her image as a warrior goddess was not one of recklessness, but of disciplined and thoughtful engagement. Athena was a protector of cities, known for her role in safeguarding Athens, a city named in her honor. She embodied the principles of justice and strategic warfare, ensuring that conflicts were approached with reason and that the pursuit of victory was tempered with moral integrity. In every tale of Athena, her wisdom and strategic prowess were evident. She was a goddess who understood the importance of foresight and preparation, who knew that true strength lay in the ability to think ahead and act with purpose. Athena's birth from Zeus's head was a dramatic reminder of her unique nature, an embodiment of both divine intellect and martial prowess, a goddess whose legacy would continue to inspire and guide those who sought to blend wisdom with strength. In the light of her radiant presence, Athena represented more than just a deity of warfare. She was a beacon of wisdom and strategic brilliance, a reminder that the greatest victories are won not only through force, but through the power of insight and reason. Her story was one of divine strength and intellect, a testament to the enduring power of wisdom and the profound impact of strategic thought on the course of human destiny. In the heart of battle, where chaos reigns and blood is spilled, Ares, the god of war and bloodshed, commands a fearsome presence. Unlike other gods who approached warfare with strategy and wisdom, Ares thrived in the raw, unfiltered brutality of conflict. His very essence seemed to pulsate with the relentless energy of battle, his presence a reminder of the darker, more savage side of war. Ares was not a figure of calculated battles or noble victories. His domain was the battlefield in its most primal form, the clash of steel, the roar of armies, and the relentless pursuit of bloodshed. He was the embodiment of warfare's harsh realities, reveling in the disorder and violence that came with it. To see Ares was to witness the raw intensity of combat, where honor was often overshadowed by the brutal force of aggression. His connection to war was not just one of distant oversight, but an intimate, almost personal engagement. Ares did not merely watch battles unfold, he was an active participant, his heart beating in sync with the rhythm of combat. The cries of warriors and the clash of weapons were like music to him, fueling his drive and feeding his power. He was a god who thrived in the chaos of war, his presence magnifying the fear and fury that defined the battlefield. Yet, Ares was not simply a god of mindless violence. His role in war was complex, reflecting the dual nature of conflict itself. On one hand, he embodied the destructive force of battle, the rage and bloodshed that could consume everything in its path. On the other hand, Ares also represented the passion and fervor that drove warriors to fight, the intense emotions that could inspire them to achieve great feats. His influence on battle was a testament to the profound and often terrifying power of unrestrained aggression. Ares' presence was not always welcomed by his fellow gods. He was often at odds with deities who preferred a more measured approach to warfare, such as Athena, who valued strategy and wisdom over sheer force. The tension between Ares and Athena highlighted the different aspects of war that the gods represented. While Athena sought to guide battles with foresight and reason, Ares embraced the chaos and raw power of conflict, his nature a stark contrast to her calculated approach. The stories of Ares were often marked by his involvement in conflicts that were both grand and tragic. He was known for his role in numerous mythological wars, where his influence could turn the tide of battle but also lead to devastating consequences. His presence on the battlefield was a force to be reckoned with, his impact profound, but often chaotic and unpredictable. To witness Ares in action was to see the unpredictable and sometimes uncontrollable nature of war, where victory could be both exhilarating and horrifying. Despite his fearsome reputation, Ares's relationships with other gods and mortals were often fraught with tension. His nature as a god of war made him a controversial figure, one whose influence could lead to both glory and suffering. His interactions with other gods reflected the complexities of his role, as he was sometimes seen as a necessary force in the grand tapestry of divine affairs, but also as a disruptive and unsettling presence. The essence of Ares's character lay in his embodiment of the primal aspects of conflict. He was not a god who sought to mitigate or control the chaos of war, but one who thrived in its midst. His influence was felt in the very fabric of battle, where his presence could amplify the fury and bloodshed of combat. To encounter Ares was to confront the unvarnished reality of war, where the line between glory and carnage was often blurred. Ares's legacy was a reflection of the complex and often harsh nature of conflict. He was a god who personified the intense, often uncontrollable emotions that drive people to fight, the raw power that can both inspire and devastate. His role in mythology served as a reminder of the darker side of warfare, where victory was achieved not through strategy but through sheer force and unrelenting aggression. In the end, Ares's story was one of fierce, unrestrained power. He was a god who thrived in the chaos of battle, whose presence magnified the intensity and brutality of war. His legacy was a testament to the primal energy of conflict, a reminder of the profound and sometimes terrifying power that defined the world of warfare. In the fiery depths of a volcanic forge, where the heat blazes and sparks fly, Hephaestus, the god of blacksmiths and fire, toiled tirelessly. His hands, skilled and steady, shaped raw metal into masterpieces of divine craftsmanship. Hephaestus was no ordinary deity. His realm was the heart of creation, where every hammer strike and every burst of flame gave birth to weapons and wonders of unparalleled beauty and power. Yet, behind the brilliance of his forge and the perfection of his creations lay a story marked by struggle and unfulfilled desires. Hephaestus was known for his unmatched skill as a craftsman. His workshop, nestled in the depths of volcanic mountains, was a place where fire and metal danced together under his expert guidance. The clang of his hammer was both a call to creation and a reminder of the relentless effort that went into every work of art. Each piece he crafted, whether it was a magnificent weapon or a delicate piece of jewelry, carried the essence of his soul, a reflection of his passion and perseverance. Despite his divine talents, Hephaestus's life was marked by turmoil. His marriage to Aphrodite, the goddess of love and beauty, was far from the fairy tale romance one might expect. Aphrodite, with her irresistible charm and allure, was the epitome of beauty and desire, a stark contrast to Hephaestus's rugged appearance and tireless dedication to his craft. Their union, though blessed by the gods, was fraught with challenges and emotional turbulence. The disparity between Hephaestus and Aphrodite created a rift that was hard to ignore. While Hephaestus poured his heart into his creations, crafting exquisite items that would become legendary, Aphrodite's beauty and allure often drew her away from the hearth of their home. She was known for her many admirers and her penchant for affairs, leaving Hephaestus to grapple with feelings of inadequacy and heartbreak. The god of fire and forge, who could shape the very fabric of the cosmos with his hands, found himself unable to mend the fracture in his own heart. The tumultuous nature of their relationship was not just a personal affair, but also a reflection of the complex dynamics among the gods. Hephaestus's devotion to Aphrodite was unwavering, despite her lack of loyalty and the public perception of their mismatched union. His love for her was pure and deep, and it stood in stark contrast to the superficial and fleeting nature of Aphrodite's affections. This contrast highlighted the profound struggle between genuine, enduring love and the transient allure of beauty. The emotional weight of Hephaestus's situation was heavy, and it was felt in the quiet moments of his forge, where he worked alone, driven by a sense of duty and a longing for acceptance. The divine fire that burned in his workshop was not just a tool for creation, but a symbol of his inner turmoil and unfulfilled desires. Each masterpiece he crafted was a testament to his skill, but also a reflection of his deep, unspoken longing for a connection that went beyond the surface. Despite the personal pain he endured, Hephaestus's creations were unparalleled. His work was a blend of artistry and divine precision, a manifestation of his ability to transform raw, chaotic elements into objects of great beauty and functionality. From the golden throne he crafted for Zeus to the intricate armor of Achilles, Hephaestus's work was a testament to his talent and his resilience. His ability to create such wonders, despite his personal struggles, spoke to the strength of his character and the depth of his commitment to his craft. The story of Hephaestus is not just one of divine skill, but also of profound emotional depth. It's a tale of a god who, despite being a master of creation, faced the harsh realities of love and rejection. His tumultuous marriage to Aphrodite highlighted the gap between physical beauty and emotional connection, showing that even among the gods, true harmony and fulfillment are not always easily achieved. Hephaestus's legacy is one of both craftsmanship and heartache. His creations are revered as masterpieces, symbols of his incredible talent and dedication. Yet, beneath the surface of his divine artistry lies a story of personal struggle, a poignant reminder of the complexities of love and acceptance. The fire that burned in his forge was not only a force of creation but also a reflection of the enduring strength and vulnerability of a god who gave his all despite the challenges he faced. In the dazzling world of gods and mortals, Aphrodite shone as the embodiment of love and beauty. Her very presence was a radiant force, a beacon of irresistible allure that captivated all who encountered her. Known for her breathtaking beauty and enchanting charm, Aphrodite was the goddess who could make hearts race and heads turn with just a glance. Yet, her story is not just about her beauty, but also about the powerful allure that drove her through countless romantic entanglements. From the moment she emerged from the sea foam, Aphrodite was destined to be the epitome of beauty and desire. Her charm was not merely a physical trait, but an enchanting quality that wove through the very fabric of her being. She could make the most stoic of gods and the simplest of mortals fall under her spell. Her smile was a promise of tenderness, her touch a whisper of affection, and her gaze a spark that could ignite the deepest passions. Aphrodite's love affairs were legendary, weaving a tapestry of romance and intrigue that spanned the heavens and earth. Her allure was so profound that it transcended the divine realm, touching the lives of many, both gods and mortals. Each affair was a testament to her power, a dance of desire that left lasting impressions and sometimes heartache. Among the most famous of her liaisons was her relationship with Ares, the god of war. Their affair was a passionate whirlwind, a stark contrast to the often cold and calculating nature of the battlefield. In Ares, Aphrodite found a kindred spirit, a god whose fiery nature matched her own intensity. Their love was tempestuous, marked by stolen moments and fierce emotions. Yet, their relationship was also fraught with complications, as Aphrodite's heart was never fully hers to give, always swayed by the tides of desire and circumstance. Aphrodite's connection with mortal men was equally compelling. Paris, the Trojan prince, fell under her spell when she promised him the love of the most beautiful mortal woman, Helen of Sparta. This promise set off a chain of events that led to the Trojan War, a conflict fueled by the desires and machinations of the gods. Aphrodite's influence was a driving force in the unfolding drama, her power over love creating ripples that changed the course of history. Her involvement with the mortal Adonis added another layer to her complex nature. Adonis was a mortal of extraordinary beauty, and Aphrodite's love for him was deep and consuming. Their time together was marked by intense joy and profound sorrow, as Adonis's life was tragically cut short by a hunting accident. Aphrodite's grief over his loss was a poignant reflection of the fleeting nature of love and the pain that often accompanies deep affection. Her sorrow was a testament to the depth of her feelings, showing that even a goddess's heart can be broken. Aphrodite's allure extended beyond her romantic entanglements. Her influence over love and beauty was such that it affected everyone she encountered. She had the power to inspire longing and desire, her very presence a reminder of the beauty that could both uplift and torment. The power of her charm was so great that it could sway hearts and alter fates, a force of nature that was both wondrous and daunting. Despite her many affairs, Aphrodite was not simply the figure of sensuality and romance. Her actions often had profound consequences, reflecting the complexity of love itself. Her power could bring joy and passion, but it could also lead to jealousy, heartache, and conflict. Aphrodite's relationships were a blend of pleasure and pain, a reminder of the multifaceted nature of love. The goddess's beauty was a gift and a curse. While it allowed her to attract and enchant those around her, it also placed her at the center of endless desire and attention. The very quality that made her so captivating also made her life one of constant scrutiny and turmoil. Her ability to enchant and inspire was both a blessing and a burden, as the weight of her allure often brought with it a whirlwind of emotions and complications. Aphrodite's story is one of enchanting allure and tumultuous love. Her beauty and charm were not mere attributes but powerful forces that shaped the lives and fates of gods and mortals alike. Through her many affairs and her influence over love, she became a symbol of both the joys and sorrows that come with the most profound of human emotions. Her legacy is a reminder of the power of attraction and the complex dance of desire, a testament to the timeless allure that defined her divine presence. In the busy tapestry of divine affairs and mortal lives, Hermes was the thread that wove everything together. With his winged sandals and the caduceus staff, he moved between worlds with an effortless grace, bridging gaps that seemed insurmountable. Hermes was not just a messenger, he was the embodiment of communication, travel, and trade, a god whose influence touched every corner of existence with a delicate balance of speed and subtlety. Hermes' role as the messenger of the gods was crucial. Imagine him darting through the skies, his sandals beating a rhythm of swift progress. He carried messages between the gods and mortals, ensuring that divine will was communicated with precision and urgency. His speed was legendary, nothing could slow him down. When Zeus needed a message delivered or a task completed, Hermes was the one who could get it done swiftly, with a blend of efficiency and charm. But Hermes was more than just a courier of messages. He was the god of travelers, guiding those who journeyed through unknown lands with a sense of protection and direction. Whether it was a sailor setting out on a treacherous voyage or a merchant navigating new markets, Hermes' presence was a beacon of hope and guidance. His role was to smooth the path and make the journey less daunting, offering a gentle reminder that even in the vast expanse of the unknown, one was not truly alone. Trade was another aspect of Hermes' influence. As the god of commerce, he played a pivotal role in the exchange of goods and ideas. In ancient times, trade was not just about buying and selling, it was about connection, interaction, and the sharing of cultures. Hermes, with his quick wit and keen understanding of human nature, ensured that trade flowed smoothly and that the exchange of goods and ideas benefited all parties involved. His ability to navigate the complexities of commerce made him a revered figure among merchants and traders. Communication was at the heart of Hermes' domain. He was not only a messenger but also a god who facilitated dialogue and understanding. In a world where miscommunication could lead to conflict or misunderstanding, Hermes was the mediator who ensured that conversations were clear and that intentions were understood. His gift was not just in delivering messages but in making sure they were received as intended. This role made him a vital figure in maintaining harmony among the gods and between mortals and deities. Hermes' influence extended into the underworld, where he guided souls to their final resting place. As the psychopomp, he led the departed through the realms of the afterlife with compassion and care. His role was to ease the transition from life to death, ensuring that the journey was as smooth as possible. Even in the final moments of life, Hermes was there to offer guidance and comfort, showing that his role was not just about the living but also about the passage into the next realm. The charm of Hermes was undeniable. His ability to move effortlessly between different worlds, his gift of speech, and his capacity to handle both divine and mortal affairs with finesse made him a god who was deeply appreciated by all who encountered him. His presence was a reminder that communication and connection were vital, and that even in the most complex of situations, there was always a way to find understanding and progress. Hermes was also a god of cunning and wit, often using his intelligence to navigate tricky situations. His cleverness was not just a tool for personal gain, but a way to bring about solutions in times of conflict or confusion. Whether it was outsmarting rivals or finding innovative solutions to problems, Hermes' sharp mind was a testament to his ability to handle the complexities of his roles with grace and efficiency. In the vast and intricate world of gods and mortals, Hermes was the vital link that kept everything flowing smoothly. His role as the messenger of the gods, the guide for travelers, the patron of trade, and the facilitator of communication made him a figure of immense importance. His ability to connect, guide, and communicate was a gift that transcended the ordinary, making him a beloved and indispensable deity in the pantheon of Greek mythology. In the heart of ancient Greece, there existed a deity whose very presence was a celebration of life's most intoxicating joys and wildest abandon. Dionysus, the god of wine and ecstasy, stood apart from his fellow gods with a mystique and allure that was as powerful as it was enigmatic. His origins were shrouded in mystery, and the festivals held in his honor were nothing short of extraordinary, embodying the essence of uninhibited revelry and emotional release. Dionysus's story began with whispers and shadows. Born from a union that defied conventional boundaries, his existence was marked by a sense of otherworldliness. He was the son of Zeus and Semele, a mortal woman whose desire for a god had tragic consequences. Her life was consumed by her longing, literally turned into ashes as a result of Zeus revealing himself in his divine form. Yet, Dionysus survived, born from the very flames that had destroyed his mother, his origins a blend of the divine and the mortal, the fiery and the ephemeral. Raised by nymphs and wild spirits, Dionysus's childhood was a testament to his connection with nature's untamed aspects. His upbringing in the wilds of the earth marked him as a god who was deeply entwined with the primal forces of life. Unlike other gods who presided over orderly realms, Dionysus thrived in chaos and ecstasy, his very essence a reflection of nature's raw power and beauty. Dionysus's influence was most vividly expressed through his domain over wine and festivity. Wine, in his hands, was more than just a beverage, it was a gateway to another realm. It symbolized freedom, transformation, and the breaking of social constraints. When Dionysus was honored, it was not through solemn rituals, but through exuberant celebrations that blurred the lines between the divine and the earthly. His festivals were legendary for their wildness, a release of pent-up emotions and societal pressures. The festivals dedicated to Dionysus, such as the Dionysia, were times of uninhibited joy and revelry. They began with a deep sense of anticipation, a promise of release from the constraints of everyday life. People gathered in large numbers, and the city was alive with an energy that was both exhilarating and overwhelming. The air was filled with the intoxicating aroma of wine and the rhythmic beat of drums, a combination that set the stage for a transformation of both body and soul. During these festivals, the boundaries between the gods and humans seemed to dissolve. Dionysus's presence was felt through ecstatic dances, dramatic performances, and a sense of communal euphoria that swept through everyone involved. People wore masks and costumes, blurring their individual identities in favor of a collective experience. The festivals were not just about drinking and dancing, they were a means of connecting with the divine, of experiencing the wild, untamed aspects of life that Dionysus represented. The dances and music that accompanied these festivals were intense and liberating. Participants lost themselves in the rhythm, allowing Dionysus to lead them into a state of trance. It was a state where personal inhibitions vanished, and the individual became part of a greater, ecstatic whole. In these moments, Dionysus's power was palpable, a force that could lift spirits, heal hearts, and break down barriers. Dionysus's role was also one of transformation. The wine he inspired was not merely a drink, but a catalyst for change. It had the power to alter perceptions, to free people from their ordinary selves and allow them to explore new aspects of their being. The god himself was a symbol of this transformation, embodying both the joy and the potential for chaos that came with his gifts. His influence was a reminder of the power of indulgence and the need to occasionally let go of control. Yet, Dionysus was not just about joy and abandon. His presence also hinted at the dangers that came with unrestrained ecstasy. The power of wine and celebration could lead to both euphoric highs and tragic lows. The same force that brought people together could also drive them apart, revealing the duality of Dionysus's nature. He was a god who embraced the full spectrum of human experience, from the heights of bliss to the depths of despair. In the lore of Dionysus, there was a sense of the sacred intertwined with the profane, of divine ecstasy mingled with human vulnerability. His festivals were a celebration of life's most intense experiences, a reminder of the power and the peril that came with embracing one's deepest desires and emotions. Dionysus's legacy is one of profound impact, a god who represented the transformative power of joy, the release found in revelry, and the timeless allure of the wild and the free. In the shadowy realms of ancient Greece, there lived a titan named Prometheus whose heart was brimming with compassion for humanity. Unlike his fellow titans, Prometheus was not content to simply watch as humans struggled in darkness. His soul ached for their suffering, and he could not bear to see them helpless and cold. Driven by an overwhelming desire to lift them from their plight, Prometheus made a choice that would echo through the ages, a choice that would bring both hope and heartbreak. Fire, the spark of life and warmth, was a gift that had long been reserved for the gods. It was a force of creation and destruction, a divine treasure that humans could only dream of harnessing. Without it, mankind was left to shiver in the cold and remain in the dark, their progress and potential shackled by this absence. Prometheus, feeling a deep empathy for the frailty of human existence, could not stand idly by. He knew that fire was the key to their survival and advancement, a light that could illuminate their world and their minds. In a bold and defiant act of compassion, Prometheus descended from the heights of Mount Olympus to the darkened world of mortals. The heavens were far from his thoughts as he sneaked into the divine realm where fire was kept. With hands that trembled both with fear and resolve, he stole a glowing ember from the sacred flame of the gods. As he carried it back to humanity, the ember seemed to pulse with life, glowing brightly with the promise of a new dawn. Prometheus's gift was more than just a source of warmth, it was the spark that ignited human progress. As the fire touched the earth, it transformed the lives of those who encountered it. People gathered around the flame, their faces illuminated with awe and wonder. The fire brought warmth to their cold nights, enabled them to cook their food, and gave them the means to forge tools and build shelters. For the first time, humanity was able to bend the elements to their will, lifting themselves from the shadows into the light. But Prometheus's act of kindness did not go unnoticed. The gods, particularly Zeus, were enraged by this theft. To them, fire was a sacred element that belonged solely to the divine. They saw Prometheus's actions as a grave insult, an act of rebellion that could not be forgiven. Furious and determined to make an example of him, Zeus decreed a punishment that was as eternal as it was cruel. Prometheus was bound to a remote cliff, a towering precipice that rose high into the sky. Each day, an enormous eagle, a creature sent by Zeus himself, descended upon him. The eagle's sharp talons and beak would tear into Prometheus's flesh, pecking and ripping away at his body. Each day, as Prometheus healed from the previous day's torment, the eagle would return, ensuring that the titan's suffering was relentless and unending. The punishment was not just physical, it was a symbol of the gods' anger and a reminder of the consequences of defying their will. Prometheus's suffering was a constant, painful reminder of his defiance and a testament to the lengths to which he had gone for the sake of humanity. His ordeal was a reflection of the immense price he paid for his act of love and selflessness. Despite his suffering, Prometheus never wavered in his resolve. His spirit remained unbroken, and his love for humanity shone as brightly as ever. In his pain, he found solace in knowing that the fire he had given to mankind had ignited a spark of hope and progress. Though he was punished for his defiance, Prometheus's sacrifice was a beacon of light for those he had sought to help. His story became a powerful symbol of the struggles and sacrifices made for the betterment of others. Prometheus's gift of fire was a testament to the enduring spirit of those who strive to make the world a better place, even when faced with insurmountable odds. His legacy was not just in the physical fire he had stolen, but in the warmth and light that it brought to humanity, a reminder that acts of selfless love often come at great personal cost. In the end, Prometheus's tale is one of profound emotion and enduring significance. His defiance of the gods and his sacrifice for humanity's sake make him a figure of immense courage and compassion. Through his gift of fire, he changed the course of human history, lighting the way for countless generations to come. In the tangled web of ancient myth, there is a tale so profound it has echoed through centuries, a story of hope mingled with despair, of light tainted by darkness. It begins with Pandora, a woman whose creation was both a gift and a curse, and a box that would forever alter the course of humanity. The gods, in their infinite wisdom and sometimes capricious nature, decided to create Pandora, a being of unmatched beauty and charm. Her creation was not just a simple act of divine artistry, it was a complex interplay of gifts from all the Olympian gods. Each deity bestowed upon her qualities that would make her irresistible. Aphrodite granted her beauty, Athena bestowed wisdom, and Hermes gifted her with curiosity and a touch of mischief. Pandora was, in every sense, a divine masterpiece, a symbol of both allure and enigma. As a final gesture, Zeus, the king of the gods, gave Pandora a sealed box. This box was not merely a vessel but a powerful object laden with immense significance. It was a box of immense beauty, adorned with intricate designs and shimmering in the light, but it held within it something far more dangerous and unknown. Zeus's intention was clear. He wanted Pandora to carry it to humanity, but he forbade her from ever opening it. The box was to remain sealed, a mysterious gift with hidden consequences. Pandora, despite her divine gifts, was not immune to the grip of curiosity. As she lived among humans, her curiosity about the box grew stronger with each passing day. The box's allure was irresistible, like a whisper in the dark beckoning her closer. The more she resisted, the stronger the pull became, a testament to the power of forbidden knowledge and the human condition. One fateful day, overwhelmed by the box's mysterious allure, Pandora succumbed to her curiosity. With trembling hands, she unfastened the lid. The moment the box was opened, a whirlwind of dark, chaotic forces burst forth, spreading across the world with a ferocity that could not be contained. It was as if the very fabric of reality was torn apart by the unleashing of these evils. From the box came sickness, sorrow, and despair, each one a tangible force that swept through the lives of every human being. It was as if the world had been suddenly plunged into chaos. The joy and harmony that once existed were shattered by the waves of suffering that now flooded the earth. The gods watched in silence, knowing that the release of these evils was a consequence of Pandora's actions and their own complex designs. Yet, amidst this torrent of despair, there was a glimmer of hope. As the last of the darkness swirled from the box, a single, shining entity remained trapped within. It was hope. In the midst of all the suffering and chaos, hope lingered like a tiny spark in the darkness, a beacon of light amidst the shadows. It was a reminder that even when all seemed lost, there was still a chance for redemption, for solace, and for renewal. Pandora's act of opening the box had brought tremendous suffering into the world, but it had also given humanity something precious, hope. Even in their darkest moments, when it felt like the weight of the world was too great to bear, that tiny glimmer of hope remained. It was a light that could guide them through the darkness, a promise that despite the trials and tribulations, there was always a chance for things to get better. The story of Pandora and her box is more than just a myth, it is a reflection of the human experience. It speaks to the nature of curiosity and its consequences, to the fragility of hope, and to the enduring spirit of humanity. Even when faced with overwhelming darkness, hope remains a powerful force, a reminder that even in the midst of chaos, there is always a reason to hold on and to strive for a better future. In the end, Pandora's tale is one of profound emotional depth. It encapsulates the essence of the human struggle against adversity, the eternal dance between light and darkness, and the enduring belief that even the smallest spark of hope can illuminate the darkest of paths. In the ancient world, there was a hero whose name stirred the hearts of many, a man whose strength was legendary and whose trials were monumental. Heracles, known to many as Hercules, was more than just a figure of immense power, he was a symbol of perseverance and redemption. Heracles was no ordinary man. Born of both mortal and divine heritage, his life was destined to be filled with challenges and extraordinary feats. His path to immortality, however, was not paved with glory alone, but with an arduous journey marked by 12 incredible labors, each one more daunting than the last. The first labor tested his courage and strength as he faced the Nemean lion, a beast so fearsome that no weapon could pierce its impenetrable hide. With nothing but his bare hands and sheer willpower, Hercules grappled with the lion until he managed to strangle it. From this victory, he fashioned a cloak of its hide, a symbol of his indomitable spirit and the first of his many triumphs. Next, he was commanded to slay the nine-headed Lernaean Hydra, a serpent-like creature whose heads regenerated whenever they were cut off. Each battle against this monstrous foe was a struggle against a growing wave of terror. With the help of his nephew, Iolaus, Heracles cauterized the stumps of the heads to prevent their return. The Hydra's defeat was not just a personal victory but a triumph over seemingly insurmountable odds. The third labor led him to capture the golden hind of Artemis, a creature as swift as the wind and as elusive as a shadow. The hunt was not just a test of strength but of patience and skill. Heracles pursued the hind for a year, respecting its sacred nature and finally capturing it alive. This labor showcased his respect for the divine and his commitment to completing his tasks with honor. The fourth labor took him to the Erymanthian boar, a beast so fierce that it terrorized the lands. With determination and relentless strength, Heracles cornered the boar in thick snow and captured it alive. The capture of the boar, though a testament to his might, also reflected his resilience and resourcefulness. The fifth labor, involving the cleaning of the Augean stables, seemed insurmountable. The stables, home to thousands of cattle, had not been cleaned for decades, resulting in a mountain of dung. Heracles, undeterred, rerouted 2 rivers to wash away the filth. This labor required not just strength but ingenuity, highlighting his ability to solve problems with creativity. In the sixth labor, he faced the Stymphalian birds, creatures with metallic feathers that could be launched as deadly projectiles. With the aid of a rattle given by Athena, Heracles drove the birds from their hiding places and defeated them. This labor demonstrated his ability to overcome enemies through both force and clever tactics. The seventh labor sent him to capture the Cretan bull, a magnificent beast known for its strength and fury. Heracles wrestled the bull into submission, showing his capacity to tame even the wildest of creatures. His success with the bull was a reflection of his ability to control and master the uncontrollable. The eighth labor required him to steal the mares of Diomedes, horses that were fed on human flesh and known for their savagery. Heracles, with sheer force and bravery, captured the mares and brought them back, displaying his ability to confront and conquer the darkest aspects of human and beast alike. The ninth labor brought him to the girdle of Hippolyta, the queen of the Amazons. Although the queen initially offered the girdle willingly, Hera's interference led to a fierce battle. Heracles, driven by his quest, managed to secure the girdle, illustrating his courage and determination even when faced with deception and strife. The 10th labor tasked him with capturing the cattle of Geryon, a giant with 3 bodies. Heracles' journey to retrieve the cattle was fraught with danger and challenges. He overcame fierce warriors and monstrous creatures to bring the cattle back, showcasing his endurance and heroism across distant lands. The 11th labor involved retrieving the golden apples of the Hesperides, a task that seemed almost mythical. These apples were guarded by a dragon and the Hesperides nymphs. Heracles' quest led him to seek the help of Atlas, who held the sky on his shoulders. With Atlas's assistance, Heracles retrieved the apples, revealing his ability to collaborate and negotiate even with gods. The 12th and final labor was perhaps the most daunting, to capture Cerberus, the 3-headed guard dog of the underworld. Venturing into the realm of the dead, Heracles faced the terrors of the underworld and managed to subdue Cerberus without weapons, only using his strength and bravery. This labor was a testament to his unwavering resolve, even in the face of death itself. Heracles' 12 labors were more than just a series of heroic feats, they were a journey of transformation. Each labor not only demonstrated his strength, but also his growth as a hero. Through these trials, he proved his valor, resilience, and unwavering dedication. His path to immortality was carved by sweat and sacrifice, making his story a timeless testament to the power of perseverance and the human spirit. In the heart of ancient Greece, a dark legend whispered through the streets and homes of Athens. It was a story of a labyrinth, a monstrous beast, and a hero's desperate bid to end a curse. This is the tale of Theseus and the Minotaur, a story filled with bravery, treachery, and the triumph of hope over despair. The Minotaur was no ordinary beast. With the body of a man and the head of a bull, it roamed the labyrinthine maze of Crete, a living nightmare forged from a blend of human cruelty and divine punishment. Each year, the people of Athens were forced to send 7 young men and 7 young women to Crete as a gruesome tribute, where they were sacrificed to this beast in a dark ritual of appeasement. Theseus, a prince of Athens, could not stand idly by while his people suffered. He was determined to end the horror that haunted his city. He knew that to defeat the Minotaur, he needed to venture into the labyrinth, a maze so intricate that no one who entered ever found their way out again. With a heart full of courage and a spirit brimming with resolve, Theseus made his way to Crete. He approached the palace of King Minos, the ruler who had unleashed this curse upon Athens. The king's daughter, Ariadne, was captivated by Theseus's bravery and resolve. She had her own reasons to help. She yearned to see the monster slain and the curse lifted. Ariadne, with a heart as bold as Theseus's, provided him with a ball of thread, a simple but ingenious gift. She instructed him to tie one end of the thread to the entrance of the labyrinth and unroll it as he ventured deeper. This would allow him to trace his way back, a lifeline through the maze of shadows and despair. With a promise of victory in his heart and Ariadne's gift in hand, Theseus entered the labyrinth. The walls loomed tall and oppressive, a twisting maze of stone and darkness. As he walked, the echoes of his footsteps seemed to whisper warnings from the very stone around him. The labyrinth was a place of endless turns and cruel tricks. Every corner seemed to hide a new terror. Theseus felt the weight of fear on his shoulders, but his determination never wavered. He pressed on, guided by the thread that wound its way behind him. Finally, in the heart of the labyrinth, Theseus came face to face with the Minotaur. The beast was monstrous, its breath hot and heavy with the stench of blood and fear. Its roar was like thunder, shaking the very walls of the labyrinth. Theseus stood frozen for a moment, feeling the cold grip of dread, but then he remembered his purpose. Drawing his sword, Theseus faced the Minotaur with unyielding courage. The battle was fierce and savage, each clash of their weapons a testament to their struggle. The Minotaur was a formidable opponent, its brute strength and savage instincts a deadly challenge. Yet Theseus fought with a fierceness born of desperation and hope. Finally, with a powerful strike, Theseus drove his sword into the heart of the beast. The Minotaur let out a final, haunting roar before collapsing to the ground. The silence that followed was deafening. The labyrinth was no longer a prison of terror, but a place where courage had triumphed. Breathing heavily, Theseus followed the thread back through the maze. The path seemed to open before him, each step a reminder of his victory. As he emerged from the labyrinth, the light of the outside world was a beacon of hope and freedom. Theseus's return to Athens was met with jubilation. The curse was lifted, and the people of Athens celebrated their hero's bravery and sacrifice. But even in the midst of this triumph, Theseus's heart was heavy. The victory was marred by the knowledge of the lives lost and the pain endured. Ariadne, who had aided Theseus in his quest, was left behind on the island of Naxos. Her love for Theseus was profound, but fate had other plans. She would be remembered as the unsung hero who had provided the key to Theseus's success. The story of Theseus and the Minotaur remains a powerful reminder of the struggle between light and darkness, courage and fear. It is a testament to the strength of the human spirit, capable of overcoming even the most daunting challenges. Through bravery, cleverness, and unyielding hope, Theseus brought an end to the terror of the labyrinth and carved his name into the annals of history as a hero whose heart was as strong as his sword. In the shadowy depths of Greek mythology, where legends and monsters dance together in a symphony of fear and heroism, one story stands out with a chilling blend of courage and despair. It is the tale of Perseus, a young hero with a heart full of bravery and a destiny marked by danger, who faced the terrifying Gorgon Medusa and undertook a quest that would seal his place among the stars. The story begins with Perseus, a son of Zeus and Danae, whose very birth was shrouded in prophecy and peril. His mother, Danae, had been cast into a bronze chamber by her father, King Achilles, who feared the prophecy that Danae's son would one day bring about his death. Yet, fate has a way of twisting the threads of destiny, and Perseus emerged from the chamber, not defeated, but as a beacon of hope and heroism. The heart of Perseus's tale is bound to a monstrous creature, Medusa, one of the three Gorgon sisters. Medusa's appearance was enough to freeze the blood of anyone who beheld her. Her hair, a writhing mass of venomous snakes, and her gaze, which turned all who looked upon it into stone, made her one of the most fearsome beings in existence. It was a quest to slay Medusa that marked the beginning of Perseus's legendary journey. King Polydectes of Sisyphus, desiring to rid himself of Perseus, tasked him with an impossible mission, to bring back the head of Medusa. Polydectes hoped that the quest would ensure Perseus's demise. But rather than being intimidated, Perseus accepted the challenge, driven by a blend of bravery and a fierce determination to protect his mother and prove his worth. Perseus's quest began with a visit to the three ancient sisters known as the Graeae. They were not ordinary beings, but old hags who shared a single eye and a single tooth among them. Using his wits and cunning, Perseus managed to seize their eye, bargaining with them to reveal the location of the nymphs who could guide him to Medusa. These nymphs, blessed with magical items, provided Perseus with what he needed: a reflective shield, winged sandals, and a cap of invisibility. Armed with these gifts, Perseus set out to face the Gorgon. The journey to Medusa's lair was fraught with peril. The world seemed to close in around him, with shadows whispering warnings and the very air feeling heavy with dread. Yet, Perseus was undeterred. He approached the lair with the reflective shield before him, ensuring he would not have to meet Medusa's gaze directly. The lair of Medusa was a place of eerie stillness. The stone statues scattered around were grim reminders of the monster's power. Perseus moved cautiously, his heart pounding in his chest like a war drum. As he drew closer, the sound of hissing snakes grew louder, and there she was, Medusa herself, a nightmarish vision of malevolence. With a careful and measured approach, Perseus used the shield to view Medusa's reflection rather than looking at her directly. His hand shook slightly as he raised his sword, but his resolve was unshaken. With a swift, clean stroke, he severed Medusa's head. The Gorgon's body writhed in its final moments, a grotesque dance of death. The silence that followed was profound, filled with the weight of victory and the haunting presence of the defeated monster. Medusa's head, still dripping with dark and deadly venom, was safely placed in a magical bag provided by the nymphs. Perseus knew that the head was a powerful weapon, one that could turn anyone into stone with a mere glance. But his journey was not yet complete. He had one more heroic task: to save Andromeda. Andromeda, a princess, had been chained to a rock as a sacrifice to a sea monster. Her beauty had angered the gods, and she was left at the mercy of the beast. Perseus, upon returning with Medusa's head, flew to the place where Andromeda was bound, using the winged sandals gifted to him. With a heart filled with both compassion and valor, Perseus confronted the sea monster. The battle was fierce and dramatic, a struggle of strength and strategy. Perseus's bravery shone through as he wielded Medusa's head to petrify the beast, turning it into a stone monument of defeat. Andromeda was freed, and her chains fell away, a symbol of her deliverance. As Perseus and Andromeda returned to Sisyphus, their triumph was met with celebration. Perseus had not only fulfilled a seemingly impossible task, but had also saved a life and proved his worth as a hero. His journey was marked by trials and tribulations, but his courage and determination transformed him from a mere mortal into a legend. The story of Perseus and the Gorgon Medusa, with its blend of courage, tragedy, and ultimate triumph, remains one of the most gripping tales of Greek mythology. It is a story that touches the heart, reminding us of the strength found in bravery and the power of hope against the darkest of odds. Perseus's heroism, his fight against the monstrous Medusa, and his role in rescuing Andromeda are etched into the annals of legend, a testament to the enduring power of courage and love. In the tapestry of Greek mythology, one story stands out as a testament to human bravery, perseverance, and the quest for greatness. This is the tale of Jason and his heroic quest for the Golden Fleece, a legend that intertwines adventure, betrayal, and the indomitable spirit of a leader. Jason's story begins with a promise made to his father, Ezon, who was once the king of Iolcus. When Ezon was overthrown by his brother, Peleus, Jason was sent away to grow up in safety. He returned to reclaim his rightful throne, only to find himself faced with a nearly impossible challenge set by the ruthless Peleus. The king demanded that Jason bring back the Golden Fleece, a mystical artifact that was guarded by a dragon and held in the distant land of Colchis. Jason accepted the challenge, understanding that it was not just a test of his strength, but a trial of his very soul. To achieve this seemingly impossible task, Jason gathered a crew of the bravest and most skilled heroes of the age, known as the Argonauts. This diverse group, including the likes of Hercules, Orpheus, and Atalanta, set sail on the ship Argo, named after its builder, Argus. The Argo was not just a vessel, but a symbol of hope and determination, its wooden hull brimming with the dreams of those aboard. As they set out, the sea was both a friend and a foe, tossing the ship through waves of uncertainty and peril. The Argonauts faced numerous challenges, each more daunting than the last. Their journey was marked by encounters with creatures that seemed to emerge from the darkest corners of their nightmares, fierce harpies that terrorized a blind seer, and the clashing rocks, known as the Symplegades, which threatened to crush any ship daring enough to pass through. Through these trials, Jason's leadership and the unity of the Argonauts were tested. Each challenge they faced brought them closer together, weaving their fates into a single thread of destiny. Yet, it was not just their strength that would see them through. It was their ability to inspire and trust each other, even in the darkest of times, that truly defined their journey. The real heart of the story unfolds as they reach the shores of Colchis. Here, Jason faces his greatest trials yet. The Golden Fleece was not merely a symbol of power, it was an object of profound magic and mystery, guarded by a fearsome dragon that never slept. To retrieve it, Jason needed more than just courage. He needed the help of the sorceress Medea, daughter of King Aeetes of Colchis. Medea was no ordinary woman. She was a powerful sorceress, known for her skills in magic and her fierce determination. Upon meeting Jason, she was struck by his bravery and resolve. Though bound by duty to her father, Medea's heart began to soften toward the young hero. She decided to aid him, but not without cost. Her help came with a promise that would intertwine their fates in ways neither could foresee. With Medea's aid, Jason was able to overcome the magical barriers guarding the fleece. She used her sorcery to put the dragon to sleep, allowing Jason to retrieve the coveted prize. But the victory was bittersweet. Medea's love for Jason grew, and with it came a complicated and tragic intertwining of their lives. As they fled Colchis, Medea's actions, driven by love and betrayal, would set off a chain of events that would forever change their lives. The return journey was fraught with peril, not only from the wrath of King Aeetes, but also from the challenges that awaited them as they crossed the seas once more. Despite their victory, their path was marred by the consequences of their choices, reflecting the cost of their heroism and the complexities of their journey. Jason's return to Iolcus with the Golden Fleece marked the end of one chapter but the beginning of another, filled with the triumphs and trials of leadership, love, and loss. His quest was not just about the retrieval of a magical artifact, but a journey that tested the limits of human endurance, loyalty, and the quest for greatness. The story of Jason and the Argonauts is a powerful narrative of adventure and heroism, weaving together themes of courage, sacrifice, and the unyielding drive to overcome the impossible. It reminds us that the path to greatness is often paved with challenges and that true heroism lies in the strength to face them head-on, with unwavering resolve and the support of those who share our dreams. In the realm of timeless love and unfathomable sorrow, the tale of Orpheus and Eurydice stands as a poignant reminder of the power and fragility of the human heart. Orpheus, gifted with a musical talent so extraordinary that it could tame wild beasts and charm the gods themselves, found his life forever altered by a tragic twist of fate. Orpheus was not merely a musician, He was a soul whose melodies could reach into the deepest recesses of existence, stirring emotions and evoking the profoundest of feelings. His songs were more than just notes and rhythms, they were a reflection of his very being, a pure expression of his love and passion. Eurydice, his beloved wife, was the muse who inspired his music. Her presence in his life was a radiant beacon, illuminating his days with joy and purpose. Their love was a rare and precious thing, a union of two souls so deeply connected that their bond seemed almost invincible. Yet, as with many of the greatest love stories, their happiness was not to last. On a fateful day, Eurydice was tragically taken from Orpheus. A serpent's bite claimed her life, and she was ushered into the shadowy realm of the underworld. The world seemed to crumble around Orpheus as he was left to grapple with the unbearable weight of his loss. Devastated but undeterred, Orpheus decided to defy the very boundaries of life and death. His love for Eurydice gave him the strength to embark on a perilous journey to the underworld itself, a place where even the bravest feared to tread. Armed with nothing but his lyre, Orpheus descended into the realm of shadows, driven by the hope of reclaiming his beloved. As he ventured into the underworld, Orpheus's music became his greatest ally. His hauntingly beautiful melodies echoed through the dark caverns and ancient halls, softening the hearts of even the sternest denizens of the underworld. His music reached the ears of Persephone and Hades, the rulers of this gloomy domain. The power of his songs was so profound that it stirred their compassion, bringing a rare moment of warmth and tenderness to the cold and desolate underworld. Moved by Orpheus's unwavering love and the beauty of his music, Persephone and Hades granted him an audience. The gods of the underworld were not impervious to the depth of human emotion, and Orpheus's music had touched them deeply. They agreed to allow Orpheus to take Eurydice back to the world of the living, but with one crucial condition: he must not look back at her until they have both reached the surface. If he did, she would be lost to him forever. With his heart pounding and hope filling his every step, Orpheus began the arduous ascent from the underworld, guided by the faint glow of his love for Eurydice. As they climbed the dark passageways, Orpheus fought against the rising tide of doubt and longing. The air was thick with the weight of his yearning, and every step was a struggle between hope and fear. The closer they got to the surface, the more Orpheus's anxiety grew. The silence of their journey was almost unbearable, filled only by the soft, uncertain footsteps of Eurydice following him. The fear that he might lose her forever gnawed at his heart, and though he tried to stay strong, the weight of the moment was nearly too much to bear. Just as the light of the world above became visible, Orpheus's resolve began to waver. His love for Eurydice and his longing to see her face once more overpowered his sense of reason. In a moment of overwhelming emotion, he turned to look at her, unable to resist the urge to see the woman he had fought so hard to save. The sight of her face, filled with hope and love, was both a blessing and a curse. As Orpheus's gaze met Eurydice's, a heartbreaking realization set in. The spell that held her to him shattered, and she was pulled back into the depths of the underworld. Her final look at him was a mixture of sorrow and understanding, a silent farewell that tore at the very fabric of his soul. Orpheus's cries echoed through the dark corridors as he was left alone once more, his heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. His return to the world of the living was a journey marked by deep despair and unending regret. He wandered the earth, his music now a mournful lament for a love lost, a constant reminder of the fragility of human existence and the cost of his own impetuousness. The story of Orpheus and Eurydice is not merely a tale of love and loss, but a reflection on the power of hope and the limits of human endurance. It speaks to the deep emotional currents that define our lives and the ways in which we grapple with the most profound of sorrows. Orpheus's tragic journey to the underworld and his subsequent loss are a testament to the strength and vulnerability of the human heart, and his story remains an enduring symbol of the complexities of love and loss. In the heart of ancient Greece, where myths and legends took flight, there lived a hero whose name echoed through the ages, Bellerophon. His story begins with a dream of soaring through the skies on a majestic winged horse, a creature as enigmatic as it was powerful. This is the tale of how Bellerophon, driven by fate and bravery, achieved the impossible by taming Pegasus and facing the monstrous Chimera. The winged horse Pegasus was not just a symbol of beauty and freedom, it was a living testament to the divine. Born from the blood of Medusa, who had been slain by Perseus, Pegasus roamed the skies with an otherworldly grace. To tame such a beast seemed like an impossible dream, yet Bellerophon was a man of extraordinary courage, blessed with a heart full of determination. His journey began with a vision. Bellerophon sought to prove himself as more than a mere mortal, eager to achieve great deeds and earn his place among the heroes of legend. The gods, recognizing his potential, guided him to the spring of Pyrene, where Pegasus drank. With divine intervention, Bellerophon managed to tame the great horse using a golden bridle gifted by the goddess Athena. The moment he mounted Pegasus, the world below seemed to vanish, leaving him to traverse the heavens with newfound freedom and power. Bellerophon's mastery over Pegasus gave him an unparalleled advantage, but his greatest challenge lay ahead. The Chimera, a fearsome creature that terrorized the land, was a blend of nightmare and reality. With the head of a lion, the body of a goat, and the tail of a serpent, it was a beast of sheer chaos and destruction. The Chimera breathed fire and wreaked havoc wherever it went, leaving a trail of despair and devastation in its wake. As Bellerophon flew above the land on Pegasus, he saw the devastation caused by the Chimera's rampage. The sight filled him with a sense of urgency and resolve. The beast had to be stopped, not just for glory, but to bring peace to the suffering people below. His heart ached for those who had been hurt by the Chimera's fury, and he knew that he had to face this terrifying beast to end its reign of terror. The battle that ensued was nothing short of epic. Bellerophon, mounted on Pegasus, engaged the Chimera in a struggle that would determine the fate of many. The air crackled with tension as the Chimera's fiery breath clashed with Bellerophon's courage and skill. The roar of the beast and the thunder of Pegasus's wings filled the sky, creating a dramatic dance of heroism and fear. Bellerophon's strategy was one of both bravery and cleverness. He used his aerial advantage to stay out of the Chimera's reach, all the while searching for a way to defeat the monster. With each swoop and dive, he dodged the Chimera's fire and strikes, looking for an opening. His heart pounded with every near miss, but he remained focused on his mission. The climactic moment came when Bellerophon, using his swift and agile mount, managed to get close enough to strike. His weapon, a spear gifted by the gods, found its mark. With a final, decisive thrust, Bellerophon drove his spear into the Chimera's heart. The beast let out a final, anguished roar before collapsing, its reign of terror coming to an end. As the dust settled, the people of the land looked up in awe at the hero who had saved them. Bellerophon's victory over the Chimera was more than a personal triumph, it was a beacon of hope and a testament to the power of courage and determination. His name became synonymous with bravery, and the legend of his flight with Pegasus and his battle with the Chimera spread far and wide. Yet, the story of Bellerophon is not just about heroism and victory. It is also a tale of the human spirit's capacity to rise above seemingly insurmountable challenges. The struggle against the Chimera was a test of not only physical strength, but also of inner resolve. Bellerophon's ability to confront his fears and fight for the greater good exemplifies the profound connection between bravery and sacrifice. In the end, Bellerophon's tale is a reminder of the extraordinary feats that can be achieved through unwavering determination and the power of belief. His victory over the Chimera, aided by the majestic Pegasus, remains a shining example of how the human spirit can soar to unimaginable heights and overcome the darkest of foes. In the heart of ancient Greece, there lived a woman whose name echoed through the ages as a symbol of unmatched speed and fierce independence. Her name was Atalanta, and her story is one of heroism, challenge, and a race against destiny. Atalanta was no ordinary woman. From a young age, she showed extraordinary prowess in hunting and athleticism. Her speed was legendary, and her skills with a bow and arrow were unmatched. Raised by bears and hardened by the wild, she grew into a fierce huntress, admired by many and feared by beasts. Her name became synonymous with strength and agility, her very presence a blend of grace and power. The story of Atalanta's heroism began with the Caledonian boar hunt. The boar, a creature of terrifying size and strength, had ravaged the land, destroying crops and terrorizing the people. Many brave warriors tried to hunt the beast, but none succeeded. Atalanta, driven by a sense of duty and the thrill of the chase, joined the hunt. She was the only woman among a group of seasoned hunters, but she showed no hesitation. When the boar finally appeared, it was as if the ground itself trembled with its fury. The hunters, both men and women, faced the beast with a mixture of fear and determination. Atalanta's heart raced, but her focus was unwavering. With a sharp eye and steady hand, she drew her bow and took aim. Her arrow struck true, wounding the boar. The beast's roar was deafening, but Atalanta's courage never faltered. With the combined efforts of the hunters, the boar was finally brought down. Atalanta's bravery and skill were celebrated, her name honored among the greatest heroes of the time. Yet, despite her acclaim, Atalanta faced another kind of challenge. She had vowed to remain single, focusing her life on her adventures and pursuits. However, the customs of her time demanded that she marry, and the suitors came in droves, each eager to win her hand. But Atalanta was not easily swayed. She proposed a challenge to her suitors: if they could outrun her in a race, she would marry them. If they lost, they would forfeit their lives. It was a daunting challenge, one that only someone with extraordinary speed could hope to match. Many tried and failed, their hopes dashed as Atalanta sprinted past them with ease. The air would crackle with their frustration as they fell behind, while Atalanta's steady pace carried her forward. The race became a spectacle, a testament to her unmatched speed and unyielding spirit. Her determination was evident in every stride, and the loss of suitors only cemented her resolve to remain independent. But fate had other plans. Among the many who attempted to win her hand was a young man named Hippomenes. Unlike the others, he came prepared with a clever strategy. He had sought the help of the goddess Aphrodite, who gifted him with 3 golden apples. As the race began, Hippomenes tossed the apples one by one onto the track. Their gleaming allure distracted Atalanta, causing her to slow down as she stopped to pick them up. Despite her initial advantage, Atalanta was drawn to the golden fruit, and each apple delayed her progress. The final stretch of the race was a dramatic clash of willpower. Atalanta, despite her swift footwork, was ultimately outpaced by Hippomenes, who crossed the finish line just ahead of her. Atalanta's heart was heavy with disappointment, but she honored her promise. Her love for the hunt and her desire to remain free had been challenged by a clever competitor, and she accepted the outcome with grace. Her marriage to Hippomenes was not the end of her story, but a new chapter in her life. Together, they faced the challenges of life and the adventures that awaited them. Yet, even in marriage, Atalanta's spirit remained untamed and fierce. Her legacy lived on as a symbol of strength, independence, and the pursuit of one's passions, regardless of societal expectations. Atalanta's story is a poignant reminder of the balance between personal desire and societal demands. Her heroism in the Caledonian boar hunt and her unique challenge to suitors showcased her incredible talents and steadfast character. Her life was a testament to the power of determination and the courage to forge one's path, even when it means defying tradition. In every stride and every challenge she faced, Atalanta embodied the spirit of a true hero, leaving a legacy that continues to inspire and captivate. The sun was setting over ancient Crete, casting long shadows across the labyrinth that had become a prison for Daedalus and his son, Icarus. Daedalus, a master craftsman known for his unparalleled skill, was not just a prisoner of stone and iron, he was a prisoner of a dire fate. Locked away by King Minos, the labyrinth's creator, Daedalus faced a hopeless future. But within his mind, a spark of hope ignited, a plan so daring it defied the very heavens. For months, Daedalus worked in secret, his hands creating not just tools but miracles. From feathers, wax, and thread, he fashioned 2 pairs of wings, one for himself and one for his beloved son. The wings were a marvel of ingenuity, each feather meticulously arranged and each piece of wax carefully melted and molded. They were more than mere wings, they were the embodiment of Daedalus's hope and love, and his desperate wish for freedom. Icarus, a young boy with eyes full of wonder and a heart brimming with excitement, was both thrilled and awed by his father's creation. The wings represented a promise of escape from their stone confines, a promise of soaring through the skies. As the day of their escape approached, Icarus's excitement was palpable. To him, the wings were not just tools of escape, they were symbols of limitless freedom. Daedalus, ever the cautious father, warned Icarus of the dangers that lay ahead. "Fly the middle course," he advised. "Do not fly too low, or the damp sea will weigh down your wings. But do not fly too high either, or the sun's heat will melt the wax." His voice, filled with a mix of love and concern, seemed almost to carry the weight of his own fears and regrets. The fateful morning arrived, and with hearts pounding, father and son took to the air. The sensation of flight was nothing short of exhilarating. The wind whipped through their hair, and the ground below seemed to fall away, leaving them suspended between the earth and the sky. For a moment, there was nothing but the sheer joy of flying, a joy that made the world seem infinitely wide and full of possibility. As they soared higher, the world below became a distant memory. Daedalus and Icarus glided through the air, their wings beating rhythmically. The freedom they felt was intoxicating, and for a moment, the labyrinth seemed like a distant nightmare, something far removed from their current bliss. But as Icarus looked at the bright sun, his youthful excitement overwhelmed his father's warnings. The sun, golden and beckoning, seemed so close, so inviting. Without thinking, he began to climb higher, driven by the sheer thrill of the moment and the irresistible allure of the sky. Daedalus, seeing his son's recklessness, shouted warnings, but the wind carried his voice away, drowned out by the roar of the heavens. The sun, in all its radiant glory, grew more intense as Icarus climbed. The heat began to soften the wax that held the feathers together. At first, Icarus didn't notice the small signs, the feathers fluttering and shifting, the slight imbalance in his flight. But soon, the wax gave way completely. One by one, the feathers detached from the wings, and Icarus began to fall. Daedalus, in a heart-wrenching moment of horror, watched as his son plummeted from the sky. The sight of Icarus falling, his wings disintegrating into the wind, was a crushing blow that left Daedalus paralyzed with grief. The once joyous escape turned into a desperate and painful struggle. Daedalus flew down as quickly as he could, but it was too late. Icarus had fallen into the sea, the very sea that had once been a cautionary tale. The waves, indifferent to the tragedy that had unfolded, closed over Icarus's body, leaving only a ripple to mark his passing. Daedalus, heartbroken and defeated, retrieved his son's lifeless body from the water. His dreams of freedom were shattered, replaced by the unbearable weight of loss. The wings, which had once symbolized hope and escape, now lay in tatters, a poignant reminder of the fragile boundary between dreams and reality. With a heavy heart, Daedalus buried his son on the shore, naming the place after him, Icaria, a land forever marked by the sorrowful tale of a father's love and a son's fatal ambition. As he returned to Crete, the once proud inventor was forever changed. His brilliance had not saved his son, instead, it had led to a heartbreaking end. Daedalus's story, though filled with moments of incredible achievement and creativity, is also one of profound loss. It serves as a poignant reminder of the delicate balance between aspiration and caution, and the sometimes tragic consequences when that balance is lost. The tale of Daedalus and Icarus remains etched in memory as a testament to both the heights of human ingenuity and the depths of human sorrow. King Midas, draped in the splendor of his palace, had always been a man consumed by his insatiable desire for wealth. Gold glittered in every corner of his grand hall, filling his life with the promise of endless riches. Yet, even with all the gold he possessed, Midas felt an emptiness within him. He believed that if only he had more, he would finally be happy. One fateful day, the gods heard Midas's pleas and decided to grant him a wish. The god Dionysus, often depicted with wild celebrations and joy, appeared before him and offered to fulfill any request. Without a moment's hesitation, Midas asked for the power to turn everything he touched into gold. His heart raced with excitement at the thought of endless wealth. Dionysus granted the wish, and Midas woke the next morning with a sense of euphoria. The moment he touched his bed, it turned to gold. When he picked up his golden goblet to sip wine, the liquid transformed into gold, which was a beautiful sight but led to an unpleasant reality. The thrill of his new power quickly turned into panic when he realized that even his food, turned to gold, could not be consumed. The curse revealed itself in an agonizingly painful way when Midas's beloved daughter came to greet him. As she embraced him, her figure began to turn into gold. Midas's joy turned into horror as he watched the person he loved most in the world become a lifeless statue. Despair gripped his heart as he realized the terrible price of his greed. His once prized possession was now a gilded statue, a symbol of his tragic folly. King Midas's life had transformed into a prison of his own making. The once vibrant palace, now filled with gold, felt cold and lifeless. The gold that had once symbolized luxury now represented his curse. Every touch, meant to bring him joy, only deepened his sorrow. The very thing he had wished for became the chains that bound him in misery. Desperation drove Midas to seek out Dionysus, hoping for a reversal of the wish. He traveled through forests and over mountains, his heart heavy with regret. When he finally found Dionysus, he fell to his knees and begged for the curse to be lifted. With a heavy heart, Dionysus saw the depth of Midas's sorrow and agreed to help. The god instructed Midas to wash in the river Pactolus. As Midas submerged himself in the river, the golden touch began to fade. The water washed away the cursed gift, and Midas felt a mixture of relief and lingering grief. He saw the golden touch leave his skin and return to the river, turning its sands into gold. Midas returned to his palace, now stripped of its golden grandeur. The once familiar and comforting objects of his life had been restored, but the pain of his loss remained. The gilded statue of his daughter was the most poignant reminder of his misfortune, a symbol of the love he had lost to his greed. The tale of King Midas serves as a powerful reminder of the perils of unchecked desire. His story is not just about the transformation of objects into gold, but the transformation of a man from greed to repentance. And seeking wealth above all else, Midas lost what truly mattered. The curse that turned everything he touched into gold was, in the end, a lesson in the true value of love and the empty pursuit of riches. King Midas's life, filled with the shimmer of gold, was forever marked by the touch of regret. The lesson he learned was one of profound sorrow, etched into the annals of legend as a reminder that sometimes the pursuit of endless wealth can lead to the loss of everything truly valuable. The seeds of the Trojan War were sown long before the first arrow was fired. It all began with a seemingly simple event that spiraled into one of the greatest conflicts of ancient times. The story takes us to a divine gathering on Mount Olympus, where the gods and goddesses were attending a wedding that would change the course of history. The wedding in question was that of Peleus, a mortal, and Thetis, a sea nymph. It was a grand affair, one that invited all the deities of Olympus. However, one goddess was not invited, Eros, the goddess of discord. Feeling slighted, Eros decided to crash the party and stir trouble. She arrived with a golden apple in hand, inscribed with the words "to the fairest." As the guests at the wedding admired the apple, a fierce dispute broke out among the goddesses Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite, each claiming the apple was meant for her. Their argument became so heated that it threatened to ruin the celebration. Unable to resolve the issue themselves, the goddesses decided to leave the decision to Paris, a prince of Troy who was known for his fairness and wisdom. Paris was living a humble life as a shepherd, unaware of the divine drama unfolding. One day, the three goddesses approached him, each promising him a reward if he would choose her as the fairest. Hera offered power and dominion over all of Asia, Athena promised wisdom and skill in battle, while Aphrodite tempted him with the most beautiful mortal woman in the world, Helen of Sparta. Paris, swayed by the allure of love and beauty, chose Aphrodite. He was soon to learn that this choice would set in motion a series of events that would lead to a devastating war. Helen was already married to Menelaus, the king of Sparta. Paris, guided by Aphrodite's promise, journeyed to Sparta and won Helen's heart. Together, they sailed back to Troy, leaving behind a furious Menelaus. The abduction of Helen was not just a personal affront, but a deep dishonor that ignited a chain reaction of vengeance and betrayal. Menelaus sought the help of his brother Agamemnon, the king of Mycenae, and together they rallied the Greek states to launch a massive campaign against Troy. The Greeks, united by a pledge to restore Helen to her husband and to avenge the insult, gathered their armies and ships for what would become a decade-long siege. The seeds of discord had been sown, and the war that followed was marked by heroism, tragedy, and loss. Great warriors like Achilles, Hector, and Odysseus emerged from the conflict, each driven by their own motives and fates. The Trojan War was not merely a struggle between two cities, it was a clash of gods and men, a testament to the far-reaching consequences of a single act of divine mischief. The judgment of Paris, though seemingly a minor event in the grand tapestry of myth, was the catalyst for one of the most epic and tragic wars in history. It serves as a stark reminder of how a single moment of choice, influenced by vanity and desire, can lead to profound and far-reaching consequences. In the heart of the Trojan War, where gods and mortals clashed, three names stood out like beacons in the chaos: Achilles, Hector, and Odysseus. Their stories were intertwined with the battles and bloodshed, each shaping the fate of the war and leaving a legacy that would echo through the ages. Achilles, the Greek hero, was a force of nature. His rage and valor on the battlefield were unmatched. His story began with a prophecy. He was destined to be the greatest warrior of his time, but his fate would be sealed by his own anger and pride. Achilles' wrath became the driving force of his legend. His most famous moment came with the death of his dear friend Patroclus, who was killed by Hector, the Trojan prince. Fueled by grief and vengeance, Achilles re-entered the battle with a fury that was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. His duel with Hector was a clash of titans, with the fate of Troy hanging in the balance. Achilles' victory was decisive, but it was also marked by a moment of profound sorrow as he mourned Patroclus and ultimately dishonored Hector's body, a brutal reminder of the personal vendettas that fueled the war. Hector, the Trojan prince and champion, was the heart of Troy's defense. His bravery and honor were the pillars of Troy's resistance. Unlike Achilles, Hector fought not for personal glory but for his city and family. His role as a husband, father, and warrior made his loss deeply felt. Hector's death at the hands of Achilles was not just a personal defeat but a blow to the spirit of Troy. His last stand was a testament to his courage, and his farewell to his family was a moment of heart-wrenching humanity amidst the brutality of war. Hector's sacrifice underscored the heavy cost of the conflict, showing that heroism often came with profound personal loss. Odysseus, the wily Greek king of Ithaca, brought a different kind of strength to the war. Known for his cunning and strategic mind, Odysseus played a crucial role in turning the tide of battle. His most famous contribution was the idea of the Trojan horse, a clever ruse that led to the fall of Troy. While his intellect was his greatest weapon, it was his resilience and resourcefulness that defined his heroism. Odysseus' journey home, filled with trials and tribulations, was a testament to his enduring spirit. His cleverness and ability to navigate both the battlefield and the labyrinthine politics of war made him a key figure in the Greek victory. The battles themselves were a tapestry of glory and suffering. The siege of Troy, lasting 10 long years, was marked by numerous clashes that tested the mettle of both sides. One of the key battles was the duel between Achilles and Hector, a turning point that altered the course of the war. Hector's death led to the Greeks gaining a significant advantage, but it also fueled a relentless cycle of vengeance. Another critical battle was the night raid led by Odysseus, which resulted in the Greeks sneaking into the heart of Troy using the infamous Trojan horse. This deception was the culmination of years of conflict, a final, cunning stroke that brought the war to its bitter end. The fall of Troy was not just a military victory, it was a moment of triumph and tragedy, as the city was sacked, and its people were left to face the consequences of their long-held pride and defiance. The Trojan War was a theater of epic heroism and tragic losses. Achilles, Hector, and Odysseus were not just warriors but symbols of the complex interplay between fate, honor, and cunning. Their stories were woven into the fabric of the war, each hero representing different facets of the human experience: strength, sacrifice, and cleverness. The battles they fought were more than just physical confrontations. They were the battlegrounds of destiny, where personal vendettas and noble causes collided with the harsh realities of war. Through their actions and sacrifices, they left an indelible mark on history, their legacies a poignant reminder of the high cost of conflict and the enduring power of heroism. When the walls of Troy finally fell, it was as though the world itself had come crashing down. After 10 long years of relentless siege, betrayal, and endless bloodshed, the mighty city of Troy was about to meet its end. The Greeks had been patient and cunning, and their perseverance would culminate in a moment of both triumph and profound sorrow. The Greeks' victory came not through the might of their armies, but through the ingenuity of a single idea, the Trojan horse. Conceived by Odysseus, this deceptive strategy was a masterpiece of cunning. Inside the hollowed-out wooden horse were the bravest Greek warriors, concealed from view. As night fell, the Trojans, believing their enemies had finally given up, dragged the horse into their city as a symbol of their supposed victory. The streets were filled with celebration, unaware of the doom that lay hidden within their walls. In the dead of night, while the city slept, the Greek soldiers emerged from the horse. The quiet of the night was shattered by the sounds of battle as the Greeks, now within the city, opened the gates to their waiting comrades. The Greeks poured into Troy, their fury and exhaustion melding into a storm of vengeance. The city, once proud and invincible, was now vulnerable. The defenders, caught off guard and disoriented, were helpless against the wave of attackers. The sacking of Troy was a scene of utter devastation. The Greeks showed no mercy as they swept through the streets, their swords slicing through the air, their cries echoing off the walls. Homes that had once been filled with life and laughter were reduced to rubble. Temples, sacred to the Trojans, were desecrated and set ablaze. The city that had stood as a symbol of strength and defiance was now a smoldering ruin. The sense of loss was palpable, a weight that pressed heavily on every corner of the crumbling city. Among the ruins, the fates of the Trojan people were sealed. The once proud citizens found themselves enslaved, their lives upended in a single, brutal night. Women and children were taken as captives, their future uncertain, their homes destroyed. The heroic figures of Troy, like Hector and Priam, were either slain or left to face the consequences of their city's downfall. Priam, the king of Troy, faced a tragic end, his once mighty kingdom now a shadow of its former self. The survivors of Troy were left to grapple with their new reality. The city that had been their home, filled with history and dreams, was now a graveyard of their past. The Greeks' victory was bittersweet, a triumph tainted by the scenes of destruction and suffering. The captives, including the noble Queen Hecuba and the tragic figure of Cassandra, were forced into a future they had never imagined. They were to become slaves, their lives forever altered by the cruelty of war. As the Greeks set sail with their prizes, the remnants of Troy stood as a testament to the horrors of war. The city's fall was not just a military defeat but a personal tragedy for its people. Each corner of Troy that lay in ruin told a story of dreams shattered and lives lost. The survivors who remained faced the daunting task of rebuilding their lives from the ashes of their once great city. The fall of Troy was not merely the end of a city, it was a profound and poignant reminder of the costs of conflict. It was a tale of human suffering, of dreams turned to dust, and of the harsh realities that follow the glory of battle. The destruction of Troy and the fate of its people served as a somber reflection on the fragility of human achievement and the heavy price of war. Odysseus's return to Ithaca was not just a voyage, it was a grueling odyssey marked by trials, enchantments, and endless yearning. His story, full of peril and perseverance, is one of the most heart-wrenching tales of human struggle and hope. After the fall of Troy, Odysseus set sail for home, believing he would soon embrace his beloved wife, Penelope, and their son, Telemachus. However, the gods had other plans. His journey, which should have been a straightforward trip across the sea, turned into a nightmarish adventure that would last for years. The first of many trials came with the Cyclops, a one-eyed giant named Polyphemus. Stranded in the Cyclops' cave, Odysseus and his men faced the grim prospect of becoming the giant's next meal. Using his wits, Odysseus devised a clever escape. He told Polyphemus that his name was nobody, and, when the giant was blinded, he cried out in pain. When other Cyclopes came to his aid, Polyphemus could only tell them that nobody was attacking him. The clever ruse allowed Odysseus and his men to slip away under the cover of darkness. Yet, their victory was bittersweet, as Polyphemus's curse, uttered in his rage, would haunt Odysseus. The journey continued, bringing Odysseus to the island of Circe, a sorceress who turned his men into swine. In desperation, Odysseus sought help from the god Hermes, who provided him with a magic herb to resist Circe's spells. With courage and a touch of divine aid, Odysseus confronted Circe, who eventually reversed the spell. For a time, the island seemed a haven of peace, but the respite was fleeting. Circe's counsel was crucial. She told Odysseus he must visit the underworld to gain the knowledge he needed to return home. The descent into the underworld was a journey of its own. The shades of the dead, including heroes and loved ones, spoke to Odysseus. He learned of his remaining trials and the troubled fate awaiting him if he did not stay resolute. The emotional weight of this encounter was profound, as Odysseus faced the ghosts of those who had fallen and received foreboding prophecies about his future. Emerging from the underworld, Odysseus faced yet another trial with the sirens, creatures whose enchanting songs lured sailors to their doom. To escape their spell, Odysseus had his men block their ears with beeswax while he alone, bound to the mast of the ship, heard their song. The haunting melodies were irresistible, yet Odysseus's resolve to return home drove him to endure their allure. The journey then led to Scylla and Charybdis, monstrous creatures that posed a deadly threat. Scylla, with her 12 heads, snatched sailors from the deck, while Charybdis, a giant whirlpool, threatened to swallow the entire ship. Odysseus faced a harrowing choice, navigating between these dangers and losing some of his men in the process. The sacrifices and the pain of watching his crew perish underlined the harsh reality of his journey. Years of suffering and loss seemed endless, but Odysseus's determination never wavered. Eventually, he found himself on the shores of Ithaca, though he was not immediately recognized. Disguised as a beggar, Odysseus quietly observed his home. His wife, Penelope, had been fending off suitors who sought to claim her hand and his kingdom, believing Odysseus was dead. The emotional reunion was both sweet and sorrowful. Penelope, ever faithful, had kept hope alive despite the hardships and pressure from the suitors. Odysseus, finally home, had to reveal himself and restore order to his household. In a dramatic, intense contest, he reclaimed his place, punishing those who had wronged him and proving his identity through a contest of strength and skill. Odysseus's journey was more than just a physical ordeal, it was a testament to human endurance and the power of hope. The trials he faced were not merely tests of his strength, but of his spirit, patience, and love for his family. His return was a victory earned through unimaginable hardship, a reminder of the lengths one will go to for the sake of love and home. The tale of Oedipus is one of the most haunting and poignant in Greek mythology, a story of destiny and despair that chills to the core. His life, marked by extraordinary highs and devastating lows, unfolds like a tragic symphony of fate, prophecy, and a family curse. Oedipus was born to King Laius and Queen Jocasta of Thebes, but his birth was shadowed by a dark prophecy. An oracle foretold that Laius would be killed by his own son, who would then marry his mother. To prevent this, Laius made a heart-wrenching decision. He ordered that his newborn son be left to die on a mountainside. But fate, it seemed, was not to be denied. A shepherd found the baby and, out of compassion, took him to another kingdom, where he was adopted by the childless King Polybus and Queen Merope. Raised in luxury, Oedipus was unaware of his true origins. Yet the prophecy loomed over him like a dark cloud. As a young man, he heard of his doomed fate and, believing his adoptive parents were his real parents, fled from his home to escape it. This act of fleeing set in motion a series of events that would lead him inexorably toward the prophecy's chilling fulfillment. On the road to Thebes, Oedipus encountered a man whom he would later discover was his real father, Laius. An argument turned violent, and Oedipus, in a fit of rage, killed him. Unbeknownst to him, this was the first part of the prophecy coming true. The second part of his grim destiny awaited him in Thebes, where a sphinx had been terrorizing the city, posing riddles that no one could solve and consuming those who failed. Oedipus, with his keen intellect, solved the sphinx's riddle, freeing the city from its curse. In gratitude, the people of Thebes made him their king and, in a moment of bitter irony, he married the widowed queen, his own mother, Jocasta. The dark truth began to unravel slowly. As Thebes flourished under his reign, a plague fell upon the city, and Oedipus vowed to find the cause and lift the curse. His search for answers led him to the disturbing revelation of his own identity. The pieces fell into place, the prophecy had been fulfilled. Oedipus had killed his father and married his mother, the very things he had tried to avoid. Jocasta, horrified by the truth, took her own life, leaving Oedipus in utter despair. He gouged out his eyes in a symbolic gesture of self-punishment and to ensure he could no longer see the world that had betrayed him. With his kingdom in turmoil, Oedipus was exiled, forced to wander as a blind beggar, carrying the weight of his actions and the curse that had afflicted his family. The tragedy did not end with Oedipus. His children were left to face their own misfortunes. His sons fought over the throne, leading to their deaths, and his daughters were left in desperate circumstances. The curse on his family seemed never-ending, a cruel reminder of how one man's attempt to escape his fate only led him straight into its grasp. Oedipus's story is a powerful reminder of the inescapable nature of fate and the often tragic consequences of human actions. The chilling irony of his life is not just in the way the prophecy was fulfilled, but in the way he fought so hard to defy it only to become a pawn in its relentless design. The echoes of his tale resonate with a haunting melancholy, revealing the deep and often painful truth that sometimes, no matter how fiercely one struggles against it, fate has its own unyielding path. Antigone's story is one of courage, love, and an unyielding quest for justice, cutting through the heart like a sharp blade. Her tale begins in the aftermath of a brutal civil war, where her city is left in ruins and her family torn apart. It is here, in this chaos and despair, that Antigone emerges not as a passive bystander but as a fierce defender of what she believes is right. The tragedy begins with the death of Antigone's brothers, Eteocles and Polynices, who fought on opposing sides. Both brothers fell in battle, leaving behind a bitter legacy of division. The new king, Creon, who has taken the throne, declares that Eteocles, who fought for the city, will be honored with a proper burial. But Polynices, deemed a traitor for attacking his own city, is denied the sacred rites of burial. Creon's decree is clear: no one is to bury Polynices, and anyone who defies this order will face death. For Antigone, this edict is an affront to her deepest beliefs. The laws of the gods, she feels, are far greater than the laws of men. To her, it is a sacred duty to ensure her brother receives the burial rites that every soul deserves, regardless of his actions in life. Her resolve is unwavering. She cannot bear the thought of Polynices' spirit being left unhonored and exposed, and she is prepared to risk everything to rectify what she sees as a grave injustice. One night, under the cover of darkness, Antigone defies Creon's decree. She performs the burial rites for Polynices, scattering dust over his body and whispering prayers for his soul. Her actions are both a declaration of love and a rebellion against the king's authority. Antigone knows well the price she might pay for her defiance, but her love for her brother and her belief in divine justice drive her forward. When Creon learns of Antigone's defiance, his rage is palpable. He sees her actions as a direct challenge to his authority and the stability of his rule. Antigone is arrested and brought before him, unrepentant and steadfast. Her bravery in the face of death is both awe-inspiring and heart-wrenching. She does not beg for mercy or attempt to justify her actions beyond the simple truth that she acted out of familial duty and respect for the divine laws. Creon, bound by his own sense of justice and duty to his city, condemns Antigone to death. His heart hardens against her, unable to reconcile her personal loyalty with what he views as a threat to the rule of law. Despite the pleas of his son Haman, who was Antigone's fiancé, and the wisdom of the blind prophet Tiresias, Creon remains resolute. His decision is made, and Antigone is to be entombed alive in a cave, her fate sealed by the king's unbending justice. As she is led away to her grim fate, Antigone's courage shines through her despair. She accepts her destiny with a dignified grace that underscores the purity of her motives. In her final moments, she reflects on her choices, acknowledging that she chose to honor her brother and her faith over her own life. Her sacrifice becomes a poignant symbol of the struggle between personal conviction and public duty, a clash that resonates deeply with anyone who has ever faced a moral dilemma. Antigone's story is not just one of rebellion, but a profound meditation on the nature of justice, love, and the consequences of standing up for one's beliefs. Her unyielding spirit in the face of tyrannical power and her willingness to face death for the sake of honoring her brother's memory cast her as a tragic hero whose actions stir the heart and challenge the mind. Her tale, filled with both heartache and inspiration, continues to echo through the ages as a testament to the enduring power of individual conviction in the face of overwhelming odds. In the quiet, moonlit spaces where creativity and inspiration dwell, the muses dance with an ethereal grace, whispering their gifts to those who listen. These 9 goddesses are more than mere figures of myth. They are the living embodiment of inspiration itself, each one a beacon guiding the hands and hearts of artists, poets, and musicians throughout history. Each muse holds a unique power, a specific domain where their influence brings forth the beauty and depth of human expression. Calliope, the eldest, presides over epic poetry, her voice carrying the grand tales of heroism and adventure across the ages. Her name alone evokes the epic sagas of ancient bards, her presence inspiring poets to craft verses that echo with the timeless rhythms of history and legend. Clio, the muse of history, is the keeper of time's grand tapestry. Her touch breathes life into the annals of the past, ensuring that the stories of old are not forgotten but are remembered with clarity and precision. Through her, the events that shaped nations and cultures are preserved, allowing us to learn from the echoes of bygone eras and to appreciate the intricate details of our shared heritage. Erato, the muse of lyric poetry, touches the hearts of lovers and dreamers. Her influence is felt in the tender verses that capture the essence of love, beauty, and yearning. She inspires poets to write words that sing like a love song, stirring the soul with feelings that transcend time and space. Erato's presence can make even the simplest words shimmer with the glow of passion and desire. Euterpe, the muse of music, breathes melody into the world. Her gift is one of harmony and rhythm, transforming silence into a symphony of sound. She guides musicians and composers to create tunes that can uplift, soothe, or stir the deepest emotions. The beauty of her influence is in how music can convey what words alone often cannot, reaching into the heart and evoking feelings that are universally understood. Melpomene, the muse of tragedy, offers a solemn reflection on the human condition. Her domain is the dark and intense realm of dramatic expression, where sorrow, loss, and the struggles of the human spirit are brought to light. Through her, playwrights and actors find the strength to explore the depths of despair and to bring to the stage the profound experiences that shape our existence. Talia, the muse of comedy, provides a counterbalance to Melpomene's weighty themes. Her laughter is the bright counterpoint to tragedy, bringing joy and mirth to those who encounter her influence. Her gift lies in the ability to see the humor in life's quirks and follies, to craft stories and performances that make people laugh and find light even in the darkest of times. Terpsichore, the muse of dance, embodies the grace and fluidity of movement. Her influence is felt in every step and twirl of a dancer, and the rhythm that guides their motions. Through her, dance becomes a language of its own, expressing what cannot be said with words, but can be felt in the very core of one's being. Urania, the muse of astronomy, gazes up at the stars with wonder and awe. Her domain is the vast, infinite expanse of the cosmos, inspiring those who look to the heavens to explore the mysteries of the universe. Her gift allows scientists and dreamers alike to reach for the stars, to ponder the unknown, and to find beauty in the celestial order. Polyhymnia, the muse of sacred poetry, embodies the spiritual and the divine. Her influence is seen in the hymns and prayers that seek to connect with the divine, to express the deep and often ineffable aspects of faith and spirituality. Through her, worshippers and seekers find the words to reach out to the divine and to articulate the profound experiences of the sacred. Together, these 9 muses form a constellation of inspiration, each one illuminating a different facet of human creativity. Their influence is felt in every work of art, every piece of music, and every line of poetry that has ever touched the human heart. They are not just mythological figures, they are the very essence of inspiration itself, guiding and nurturing the creative spirit in every artist and creator. Their stories remind us of the magic that exists in the act of creation, the deep well of inspiration that lies within each of us, waiting to be touched by their divine presence. In the quiet moments when creativity strikes and the world feels just a little bit brighter, it is often the muses who are gently whispering in our ears, encouraging us to reach for the stars and to find our own voice in the vast, beautiful expanse of human expression. In the dim, shadowed corners of myth, where the threads of fate are spun and woven, the Moirai, or Fates, hold their sacred dominion. They are the unseen hands that shape the destiny of gods and mortals alike, weaving each life's tapestry with meticulous care. Their power is both awe-inspiring and terrifying, for they control the threads of existence with an unyielding grip, deciding who will rise, who will fall, and when the final thread of life will be cut. Clotho, the youngest of the 3 sisters, is the spinner of life's thread. With a swift, practiced motion, she draws out the thread from the spindle, setting the course of a person's life. Each strand she spins is filled with potential, a life in its infancy, full of possibilities and unknowns. Her role is crucial, for she sets the foundation upon which the rest of the life's narrative will be built. Her hands move with a grace that belies the weight of the responsibility she bears, as each turn of her spindle marks the beginning of a new journey. Lachesis, the middle sister, measures the length of the thread spun by Clotho. She wields the measuring rod with precision, determining how much time a person will have to walk their path. Her role is to judge the amount of life allotted to each being, carefully balancing the scales of fate with her unerring sense of justice. Each measurement she makes is a delicate act of fate, a balance of the scales that will determine whether a life is filled with long years of joy and sorrow or cut short before its time. Lachesis embodies the inescapable passage of time, and her decisions are final. Atropos, the eldest and the most feared, holds the power to cut the thread. Her shears are the final instrument of fate, bringing an end to the lives that Clotho and Lachesis have spun and measured. With a single snip, Atropos can bring a life to its conclusion, her actions irrevocable and final. Her presence is the most daunting, for it is she who determines the end of every life, regardless of how it has been lived. Her role is both necessary and feared, as she ensures that every story reaches its inevitable end. Together, the fates embody the balance of life and death, the inevitability of destiny, and the interconnectedness of all beings. They are impartial, their decisions unaffected by the desires or pleas of those they govern. Their influence is a reminder that no matter how much control we might seek over our own lives, there are forces beyond our understanding that shape our paths. The Moirai's power is not just a cosmic curiosity but a profound reflection of human experience. They remind us that our lives are interwoven with the lives of others, that our actions and decisions have consequences that ripple through the fabric of existence. Their control over destiny underscores the fragility and preciousness of life, a reminder that every moment is both a gift and a responsibility. In every story of triumph and tragedy, of dreams fulfilled and dreams shattered, the presence of the fates is felt. They are the silent witnesses to the grand tapestry of existence, their influence shaping every joy, every sorrow, every moment of grace and suffering. Their role is a testament to the complexity and beauty of life's intricate weave, where every thread, no matter how fragile, contributes to the larger picture of existence. The Moirai story is a powerful reminder of the delicate balance that holds the world together. They weave with a precision that is both awe-inspiring and humbling, their hands guiding the threads of fate with an ancient wisdom that transcends time. Their influence is felt in every moment of our lives, in every choice we make, and in every turn of the wheel of fortune. As we navigate our own paths through life, it is impossible not to feel the presence of these eternal weavers, whose threads intertwine with our own. They are the silent architects of our destinies, the custodians of our stories, and their influence is a profound testament to the interconnectedness of all existence. In the dark corners of myth, where shadows twist with the weight of guilt, the Furies, also known as the Erinyes, carry out their relentless quest for vengeance. They are the avengers of the gods, sworn to punish those who commit the gravest of crimes, those who dare to defy the natural order or harm the innocent. These fearsome deities are born from the blood of Uranus, cast down by his son Cronus, making them creatures of primal rage and ancient justice. With serpents entwined in their hair and eyes that blaze like fiery coals, they embody a terror that sends shivers down the spine of anyone who has committed an unforgivable act. Their arrival is heralded by an unsettling chill in the air, a sudden silence that speaks of impending dread. The Furies, with their unyielding pursuit of wrongdoers, are relentless. They are known to haunt the guilty, their presence a constant reminder of the crimes committed. It is said that their cries are so terrifying that they can drive a person to madness, each shriek a sharp reminder of their relentless duty. The most feared of the Furies are Alecto, Megaera, and Tisiphone. Each one is a harbinger of suffering, carrying out their duties with a single-minded focus that makes them both fearsome and pitiful. Alecto is the fury of unending anger, her wrath directed towards those who commit moral and social offenses. Her rage knows no bounds, her presence a burning brand on the conscience of those who have betrayed family or community. Her pursuit is endless, driven by a fury that seems to grow with every step, never tiring, never relenting. Megaera, the envy and jealousy incarnate, is the fury who punishes those who commit crimes driven by jealousy and spite. Her gaze is a piercing force, her fury a relentless storm that seems to feed off the very guilt she is set to punish. She makes sure that those who act out of envy face the full weight of their deeds, her punishment a reflection of the suffering they caused. Tisiphone, the avenger of murder, is perhaps the most terrifying of all. She embodies the vengeance for those whose lives have been taken unjustly. Her eyes, like burning embers, seek out the blood of the guilty, and her rage is a consuming fire that leaves nothing but ruin in its wake. She is the one who ensures that no murder goes unpunished, that the blood spilled unjustly is avenged in kind. These fearsome beings are more than just agents of punishment, they are the embodiment of retribution itself. They remind humanity that actions have consequences, that justice is not just a concept but a living, breathing force that seeks to restore balance to a world where wrongs must be righted. The Furies are relentless and impartial. They do not seek to forgive or forget, they exist solely to mete out justice in its harshest form. Their presence is a chilling reminder that no crime goes unnoticed and that the scales of justice will eventually be balanced. Their relentless pursuit of wrongdoers is a powerful symbol of the inexorable nature of fate and justice. In ancient times, their terrifying presence served as a powerful deterrent against heinous crimes, a reminder that one's sins would not go unpunished, no matter how far one tried to escape them. The stories of their vengeance are cautionary tales, reminders of the inescapable nature of their wrath and the severity of their punishments. The Furies are a dark reflection of justice, embodying the ancient belief that wrongs must be righted and that no soul can escape the consequences of their actions. They are a testament to the enduring human belief in the power of retribution, a chilling reminder that the scales of justice, no matter how long they may take to balance, will ultimately find their equilibrium. Their stories resonate through the ages, a stark reminder of the power of vengeance and the unyielding nature of justice. In their wake, they leave a legacy of fear and respect, a testament to the enduring power of divine retribution. Imagine wandering through a sun-dappled forest where the light dances on the leaves and the air hums with the songs of unseen creatures. In such a place, you might catch a fleeting glimpse of the nymphs, those ethereal spirits of nature who embody the pure, untamed beauty of the natural world. These nymphs are not just figures of myth, they are the living essence of forests, rivers, and mountains. They are the spirits who breathe life into the wild places of the earth, each one a guardian of a particular aspect of nature. Their presence is both enchanting and elusive, like a whisper of wind through the trees or the glint of sunlight on a sparkling stream. The Dryads are the nymphs of the trees, especially oak trees. Imagine a grove where ancient trees stretch high into the sky, their branches whispering secrets of centuries. Dryads are said to dwell within these mighty trees, their lives entwined with the very wood. When a tree is felled, it is said that a dryad's life is also at risk. Their sorrow can be felt as a mournful wind through the forest, and their joy as the vibrant renewal of new growth in the spring. To encounter a dryad is to witness the soul of the forest, where every rustle of leaves and every crack of a branch feels alive with their presence. Then there are the naiads, the nymphs of freshwater springs, rivers, and fountains. Picture yourself beside a crystal-clear stream where the water sparkles with a million lights. Naiads are the spirits of these refreshing waters, and their beauty is as fluid and captivating as the rivers they inhabit. They are known to be both alluring and dangerous, for they can be easily offended. Their laughter is said to ripple through the water, and their tears, if ever they weep, can cause floods. Naiads are intimately connected with the flow of life, their moods as unpredictable as the currents they control. The Oreads are the nymphs of the mountains and hills. Imagine climbing a rugged peak where the air is thin and the world below seems distant. Oreads are the spirits of these towering heights, embodying the majesty and strength of the mountains. They are said to be fierce protectors of their domains, their presence as unyielding as the rocky crags they inhabit. Their beauty is raw and elemental, reflecting the grandeur of the landscape they call home. Meeting an Oread might make you feel both humbled and exhilarated, as if the very spirit of the mountain has brushed against you. Oceanic nymphs, or nereids, are the spirits of the sea. Picture the boundless ocean stretching to the horizon, its waves crashing with a rhythmic pulse. Nereids are the daughters of the sea, their presence woven into the ebb and flow of the tides. They are as enchanting as they are mysterious, often seen dancing in the foam of the waves or guiding sailors through treacherous waters. Their voices are said to be as melodious as the sea breeze, and their moods can mirror the tempestuous nature of the ocean. To encounter a nereid is to feel the vast and unfathomable depth of the sea itself. Nymphs, in their myriad forms, are more than just guardians of nature, they are its very spirit. Their lives are a testament to the power and beauty of the natural world, each one a living embodiment of the environment they protect. They are often seen as both protectors and arbiters of nature's balance, their favor a blessing and their wrath a reminder of nature's untamed power. To witness a nymph is to glimpse the soul of nature itself, a moment of pure magic where the line between the human world and the wild, untamed beauty of the earth seems to blur. They remind us of the intricate connection we share with the natural world, urging us to honor and protect the beauty that surrounds us. In their presence, we are reminded of the delicate balance of nature and the profound impact of our actions on the world around us. In the dense, shadowy woods of ancient Greece, where the line between myth and reality blurs, live creatures that defy simple categorization, centaurs, satyrs, and other hybrid beings. These mythical beings stir the imagination with their blend of human and animal forms, weaving tales of both mischief and wisdom. Centaurs, with their impressive blend of human and horse, roam the rugged landscapes of Greece. The upper half of a centaur is that of a strong, often noble human, while the lower half is a powerful horse. These beings are a symbol of untamed nature and raw strength, reflecting the wild beauty of the Greek countryside. Imagine the thundering hooves of a centaur charging through the forest, the sound echoing through the trees as if the very earth is alive with their energy. Despite their wild exterior, centaurs are often portrayed with a deep sense of wisdom and honor. The most famous centaur, Chiron, is known for his gentle nature and healing skills. He was a mentor to many heroes, offering guidance and knowledge, showing that beneath their fierce appearance, centaurs possess profound wisdom and kindness. Satyrs, on the other hand, embody the playful and chaotic aspects of nature. With the upper bodies of men and the lower bodies and legs of goats, complete with pointed ears and a perpetual mischievous grin, satyrs are the epitome of hedonistic revelry. They are known for their love of music, dance, and wine, often found in the company of Dionysus, the god of wine and festivity. Picture a group of satyrs leaping through a forest glade, their laughter ringing through the air as they play their flutes and drumsticks. Their antics are both charming and disruptive, embodying the untamed spirit of the wild. Yet, beneath their frolics, there is an endearing quality to their nature, a reminder of the joy and freedom that can be found in abandoning one's inhibitions. Then there are the other hybrid beings, each adding their unique flavor to the tapestry of Greek mythology. The Minotaur, with the body of a man and the head of a bull, resides in the labyrinth of Crete, a monstrous figure of both terror and tragedy. His story is a powerful reminder of how fear and power can intertwine, and his defeat by the hero Theseus is a testament to courage and ingenuity. The Harpies, with their bodies of birds and faces of women, are fearsome creatures that swoop down from the sky, stealing and tormenting. They represent the darker side of nature's power, their fierce presence a symbol of uncontrollable forces and the consequences of wrath. The sight of these winged beings, their talons glinting as they snatch away what is dear, evokes a shiver of unease and awe. These hybrid beings are more than just fantastical creations, they embody complex aspects of the human experience. The centaur's struggle between civilization and savagery, the satyr's blend of joy and mischief, and the minotaur's tragic plight all speak to the dualities within us. They remind us that within every wild heart lies a spark of wisdom, that behind every mischievous smile is a touch of earnestness, and that even the darkest fears have their roots in the quest for understanding and redemption. Their stories invite us to reflect on our own nature, to recognize the untamed, playful, and sometimes fearsome elements within ourselves. In their lives and legends, we find a mirror reflecting the full spectrum of human emotion and experience, reminding us of the profound connections we share with the mythical world and with each other. In the dark corners of Greek mythology, where fear and awe intertwine, lurk some of the most terrifying creatures ever imagined. These monsters, with their nightmarish forms and formidable powers, pose dire threats to heroes and gods alike, their stories sending shivers down the spine and evoking a profound sense of dread. Among these nightmarish beings are the Gorgons, three sisters whose very gaze could turn anyone to stone. Their appearance alone is enough to haunt one's dreams. Their hair consists of writhing snakes, their eyes are wild and malevolent, and their faces are twisted in a permanent snarl of fury. The most infamous of the Gorgons, Medusa, stands out not just for her monstrous form but for the tragic tale that surrounds her. Once a beautiful maiden, she was cursed by Athena and transformed into a monster. Her story is a chilling reminder of how beauty and power can be corrupted, and how vengeance can turn even the most innocent into something monstrous. When Perseus, the hero, was tasked with slaying her, he approached with trembling hands and a heart full of dread, knowing that a single glance could spell his doom. The sight of Medusa, with her hissing snakes and cruel eyes, was both horrifying and tragic. In his bravery, Perseus used a polished shield to avoid direct eye contact, finally severing her head and showcasing the fine line between heroism and terror. Then there are the Harpies, fearsome creatures with the bodies of birds and the faces of women. They swoop down from the skies, their talons sharp and their screeching voices a prelude to disaster. Known for stealing and tormenting, the Harpies represent the unpredictable and violent aspects of nature. They snatch away food and even the hopes of those they torment, leaving their victims in despair. The sight of these winged monsters descending from the clouds, their shrieks piercing the air, symbolizes the sudden and ruthless nature of calamity. Their story is a dark reminder of how cruel fate can be, and how heroes must confront not just physical threats but the relentless, chaotic forces of the world. The monstrous creatures of Greek mythology are not just figments of ancient imagination, they embody the fears and struggles of humanity. Each monster carries with it a story of conflict and challenge, reflecting the trials and tribulations that heroes face. The Gorgons, with their petrifying gaze, and the Harpies, with their malicious thefts, are symbols of the immense obstacles that stand between a hero and victory. Their stories are more than mere frightful tales, they delve into themes of fear, vengeance, and the struggle for redemption. They remind us of the primal fears that lurk within and the extraordinary courage required to face them. As the heroes confront these monstrous beings, their bravery and perseverance shine through, offering a glimpse into the power of human resolve against seemingly insurmountable odds. In the echoes of these ancient myths, we find reflections of our own fears and hopes, and the enduring struggle against the monstrous forces that seek to overwhelm us. Each terrifying creature, with its own dark legend, serves as a testament to the strength and resilience of those who stand against the darkness. In the shadowy depths beneath the earth, where sunlight never reaches, lies a world of somber mystery and ancient dread, the underworld, ruled by the god Hades. This realm of the dead is a place where the living dare not tread, a realm that evokes fear and sorrow, where every corner tells a story of endings and farewells. The underworld is divided into distinct regions, each with its own eerie atmosphere and grim purpose. At the entrance to this realm is the river Styx, a dark, sluggish stream that separates the world of the living from the land of the dead. To cross it, souls must pay Charon, the grim ferryman. His boat is a vessel of finality, carrying the departed from their mortal lives into the uncertain fate that awaits them. The sight of this grim figure, cloaked in darkness, and his somber boat gliding across the murky waters, is a haunting reminder of the inevitable end that awaits everyone. Beyond the Styx, the souls enter the realm of Hades itself, a place of dim light and chilling silence. The land is barren, with twisted trees and desolate plains that stretch endlessly. It is here that the souls are judged, their final resting place determined by their deeds in life. The souls of the virtuous find a somber peace in the Elysian fields, a tranquil and serene part of the underworld, where they are granted eternal rest and a semblance of happiness. The Elysian fields offer a bittersweet comfort, a paradise where the most deserving souls can find reprieve from the trials of mortal existence. In stark contrast, the Asphodel Meadows is a place where the souls of the ordinary and those whose lives were neither virtuous nor wicked are sent. Here, the dead wander through a dreary, gray expanse, their existence marked by an unending monotony. The sense of melancholy is palpable as the souls drift through this lifeless land, their memories of life fading into obscurity. The desolate and somber atmosphere of the Asphodel Meadows serves as a reminder of the mundane lives that often go unnoticed in the grand tapestry of existence. For those who lived their lives in defiance of the gods or committed heinous crimes, the underworld holds a far darker region, Tartarus. This is the deepest pit of the realm, a place of eternal punishment. The very air in Tartarus is thick with despair, and the cries of the damned echo through its dark, oppressive corridors. Here, souls are subjected to unimaginable torment, each punishment tailored to their transgressions. The sight of these eternal sufferings, from Sisyphus endlessly pushing his boulder up a hill to Tantalus eternally reaching for water that recedes every time he gets close, is a chilling portrayal of divine retribution. Tartarus is not just a place of punishment, it is a sobering reminder of the consequences of defying the divine order. At the heart of the underworld lies the palace of Hades, where he and his queen, Persephone, reside. The palace is an imposing structure, a dark fortress of shadow and gloom, where the god of the dead rules over his somber domain. Here, Hades is both a figure of authority and an emblem of the finality of death. The cold grandeur of his palace, with its blackened walls and dimly lit halls, reflects the stern and unyielding nature of its ruler. The underworld is a place where the natural and the supernatural merge into a haunting tableau of eternal night. Its regions, from the tranquil Elysian fields to the grim Tartarus, are marked by their distinct atmospheres and the fates that await the souls who enter. Each part of this dark domain tells a story of the afterlife, of judgment, punishment, and the eerie stillness of death. The underworld is a realm that evokes a deep sense of awe and melancholy, a stark reminder of the inescapable end that awaits all living beings. In the eternal shadows of the underworld, the Elysian fields and Tartarus stand as stark symbols of the divine judgment that awaits every soul after death. These contrasting realms offer a haunting glimpse into the ultimate fate of humanity, shaped by the deeds of their earthly lives. The Elysian fields, a tranquil and serene part of the underworld, represents the pinnacle of divine reward. Here, the souls who led virtuous lives find solace and peace, surrounded by an atmosphere of quiet beauty. Imagine a vast, gently rolling meadow, bathed in a soft, golden light that seems to emanate from within the earth itself. The air is filled with the sweet scent of flowers and the gentle rustling of leaves. This serene place is not just a beautiful landscape, it's a haven where the souls of the just can experience a form of eternal happiness and rest. In this idyllic realm, the souls of heroes, poets, and the exceptionally good find their final home. They are free from the pain and suffering that mark their mortal lives. The tranquility of the Elysian fields is a reward for those who lived with honor, kindness, and wisdom. It is here that their spirits can wander freely, enjoying the peace and quiet they earned. The eternal happiness found in the Elysian fields is a bittersweet reminder of the fleeting nature of human life and the hope that goodness is ultimately rewarded. In sharp contrast to this paradise is Tartarus, the deepest and darkest pit of the underworld. This is where the souls who defied the gods or committed grave sins face their punishment. Tartarus is a place of endless torment and despair. Picture a vast abyss, shrouded in darkness, where the air is thick with the cries of the damned. The walls of Tartarus seem to close in, amplifying the suffering of those who dwell there. It's a place where time loses all meaning, and agony becomes a never-ending experience. In Tartarus, each soul endures a punishment that reflects the nature of their sins. The legendary figures condemned here suffer unique and horrific fates. Sisyphus, eternally pushing a boulder up a hill only for it to roll back down each time he nears the top, is a symbol of endless, pointless labor. Tantalus, forever reaching for food and water that recedes from his grasp, is a figure of unfulfilled desire and frustration. These tortures are not just physical but also deeply psychological, representing the eternal consequences of their earthly actions. The concept of divine judgment is deeply intertwined with these realms. The soul's final destination is determined by their deeds and choices made during their mortal life. Those who lived with integrity and honor find their place in the Elysian fields, basking in the rewards of their righteousness. On the other hand, those who lived with cruelty, deceit, or defiance against the divine order find themselves in Tartarus, facing the repercussions of their actions. The stark contrast between the Elysian fields and Tartarus serves as a powerful reminder of the moral dimensions of human life. It reflects the ancient belief that our actions have lasting consequences and that the choices we make shape our ultimate fate. The idea of divine judgment and the afterlife is not just a myth, but a profound exploration of justice and retribution. In these realms, the themes of reward and punishment take on a form of divine artistry. The Elysian fields and Tartarus are more than mere destinations, they are profound expressions of the values and beliefs held by the ancient Greeks. They embody the belief that the soul's journey does not end with death, but continues in a realm where justice is meted out with an unyielding hand. The Elysian fields offer a vision of eternal peace for those who lived well, while Tartarus stands as a dark reminder of the cost of defying divine law. The gods of ancient Greece were more than mere figures of mythology, they were the very embodiment of moral values, shaping human concepts of justice, piety, and punishment. Their influence was profound and deeply intertwined with the daily lives and beliefs of the Greek people. The gods held a mirror to humanity's virtues and vices, reflecting and amplifying the values that were crucial to Greek society. Justice, for example, was not simply a human construct but a divine mandate. The gods were seen as the ultimate arbiters of right and wrong, and their actions often served as a guide for human behavior. When a mortal transgressed against the divine order, it was not just a violation of societal norms, but an affront to the gods themselves. Consider the figure of Zeus, the king of the gods, who presided over the heavens and was known for his role in enforcing justice. His thunderbolt was not merely a weapon, but a symbol of divine retribution. When mortals acted with hubris or excessive pride, it was Zeus who would strike them down, reminding them of their place within the cosmic order. The tale of Niobe, who boasted of her superiority over the goddess Leto and her children, Apollo and Artemis, illustrates this divine sense of justice. Niobe's pride led to her children's deaths and her own transformation into a sorrowful stone, a poignant symbol of the gods' response to arrogance. Piety, or the respect and reverence shown toward the gods, was another cornerstone of Greek morality. The gods demanded not only sacrifices and rituals but also the recognition of their supremacy. This reverence was crucial for maintaining harmony between the divine and mortal realms. An example of this is the story of King Croesus of Lydia. His downfall began with his disregard for the oracles of Delphi, a clear sign of his failure to honor the divine will. His arrogance and subsequent misfortune underscored the Greeks' belief in the necessity of piety and humility before the gods. Punishment in the divine context was as much about teaching as it was about retribution. The gods' methods of punishment were often designed to serve as moral lessons for humanity. The myth of Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods to give to mankind, demonstrates this. Prometheus's gift was a boon to humanity, but it came at a great cost. His punishment was eternal torment, with an eagle pecking at his liver each day, only for it to regenerate each night. This severe penalty highlighted the gods' emphasis on maintaining their divine prerogatives and the consequences of defying them. It also served as a cautionary tale about the limits of human ambition and the importance of respecting divine boundaries. Moreover, the gods' influence on morality was also reflected in the stories of heroes who sought to align their actions with divine will. Hercules, renowned for his incredible strength and heroic deeds, was often guided by the gods' demands. His 12 labors were not just feats of physical prowess, but acts of penance and dedication, meant to atone for his past sins and prove his worthiness in the eyes of the gods. Hercules' struggles and ultimate redemption highlighted the Greek belief that even the mightiest of mortals must answer to a higher moral authority. The gods also played a role in illustrating the consequences of moral failings through the tales of tragic figures. The story of Oedipus, who unknowingly fulfilled the prophecy by killing his father and marrying his mother, is a powerful example. His tragic realization and downfall were not merely personal misfortunes, but were seen as the result of divine will and the inescapable nature of fate. This myth underscored the Greeks' understanding of the gods' role in shaping human destiny and the inescapable nature of divine justice. In these narratives, the gods were not distant or detached. They were deeply involved in human affairs, shaping morality through their direct actions and interventions. Their stories served as moral compasses, guiding the Greeks in their understanding of justice, piety, and punishment. The divine presence in these myths was a constant reminder that human actions were subject to cosmic laws, and that maintaining harmony with the divine was essential for a just and fulfilling life. The Greek gods, through their actions and decrees, thus became central figures in the moral and ethical framework of ancient Greece. They embodied the principles of justice, piety, and punishment, and their stories were woven into the very fabric of Greek cultural and moral life. Through their divine influence, the gods not only shaped individual destinies but also reinforced the values that were crucial to the Greek understanding of a just and moral existence. The ancient Greeks grappled with a question that has haunted humanity across ages: are we masters of our own fate, or are our lives controlled by an unseen force? This question echoes through the myths and legends of Greek mythology, where destiny and free will often collide in dramatic and heart-wrenching ways. In Greek mythology, fate was not just an abstract concept, it was a powerful force embodied by the Moirai, or Fates. These three sisters, Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos, spawned, measured, and cut the threads of human lives. Their influence was absolute and unchangeable. Clotho spun the thread of life, Lachesis determined its length, and Atropos cut it when the time was right. Their decisions were final, and even the gods themselves were bound by their decrees. The sense of inevitability that the fates imparted was both terrifying and humbling, reflecting the belief that no mortal could escape their preordained path. Take the story of Oedipus, whose life was a tragic demonstration of the power of fate. From birth, Oedipus was doomed by a prophecy that foretold he would kill his father and marry his mother. Despite his and his parents' efforts to avoid this fate, every action they took only served to bring the prophecy to life. Oedipus's struggle against his destiny was heart-wrenching. His attempts to alter his path, though driven by a genuine desire to protect his family and avoid his tragic end, were in vain. His tale illustrates how fate, in Greek mythology, is not something one can escape or alter, no matter how much one might try. Yet, the gods did not simply dictate the terms of human existence without regard to personal choice. They often offered mortals the illusion of free will, giving them the chance to make decisions that could lead to their ruin or redemption. Heroes like Hercules and Theseus faced trials that tested their strength, character, and decisions. Their journeys were marked by moments where their choices mattered, revealing the complex interplay between predetermined destiny and personal action. Consider the myth of Hercules, who was destined for great trials. His 12 labors were not just punishments, but were also opportunities for him to prove his heroism and redeem himself. Heracles' choices, such as his decision to undertake these labors despite their danger, were crucial to his ultimate redemption. The gods, while setting the stage, allowed him to shape his path through courage and determination. This blend of fate and free will in Heracles' story reflects the Greek view that while destiny might set the framework, personal choices could still influence the outcome. The story of Theseus and the Minotaur offers another perspective. Theseus was destined to confront the monstrous Minotaur in the labyrinth of Crete. His courage and cleverness, such as using Ariadne's thread to navigate the labyrinth, were crucial to his success. His actions, driven by bravery and intellect, directly impacted his fate. Yet, despite his heroism, his story is also steeped in the recognition that some elements of his journey were beyond his control, particularly the political and familial intrigues that shaped his fate. Even the gods themselves were not immune to the effects of fate. The story of Prometheus, who defied Zeus by giving fire to humanity, demonstrates that even divine beings could not entirely escape the reach of fate. His punishment, an eternal torment, was a direct consequence of his defiance, highlighting that even the gods were bound by the threads of destiny spun by the Moirai. The tension between fate and free will in Greek mythology reflects a deep philosophical struggle. On one hand, the Moirai's absolute control suggests that human lives are governed by forces beyond individual control, leading to a sense of fatalism. On the other hand, the personal choices and heroic actions of figures like Heracles and Theseus illustrate that individuals have the power to shape their paths, even within the constraints set by destiny. In these myths, the interplay between fate and free will evokes a profound emotional response. Characters are often seen grappling with their sense of agency, struggling against the heavy hand of destiny while striving to assert their personal choices. The stories are filled with moments of triumph and despair, as heroes confront the limits of their control and come to terms with their fates. The Greek myths offer no easy answers to the question of destiny versus free will. Instead, they provide a rich tapestry of stories where the threads of fate and choice are intricately woven together. These tales capture the essence of the human condition, reflecting our own struggles with control, purpose, and the search for meaning in the face of the forces that shape our lives. Through the heart-wrenching and inspirational narratives of gods and heroes, the Greeks explored the complex dance between destiny and personal agency, leaving a legacy that continues to resonate with us today. Love and tragedy are woven into the very fabric of Greek mythology, creating tales that stir the soul and break the heart. The ancient Greeks were fascinated by the powerful effects of love and the often devastating consequences it could bring. Their myths are filled with stories of passionate love that transcends mortal and divine boundaries, and the tragedies that arise when love turns to sorrow. Take the story of Orpheus and Eurydice. Their love was pure and intense, transcending the mortal limits of their world. Orpheus, a gifted musician, fell deeply in love with Eurydice. Their happiness was short-lived when Eurydice was tragically bitten by a snake and died. Devastated by her loss, Orpheus descended into the underworld, determined to bring her back. His music, filled with sorrow and longing, moved the hearts of the gods in the underworld. They agreed to let Eurydice return with him on one condition: he must not look back at her until they have both reached the surface. The tension of their journey was unbearable, and at the last moment, unable to resist, Orpheus turned to see Eurydice. In that instant, she vanished back into the underworld, forever lost to him. The depth of Orpheus's grief and the cruel twist of fate left him heartbroken, wandering the earth with a song of despair. The myth of Pyramus and Thisbe is another poignant example. Their love was thwarted by their family's feud, which kept them apart. They communicated through a crack in the wall between their homes, their love growing stronger despite the separation. One night, they planned to meet in secret. When Pyramus arrived at their meeting spot, he saw a blood-stained veil and, believing Thisbe had been killed by a lion, he took his own life in despair. When Thisbe arrived and found Pyramus dead, she too ended her life. Their tragic end highlights the cruel hand of fate and the deep pain of lost love, illustrating how misunderstandings and circumstances can lead to irreversible sorrow. Then there's the tragic tale of Helen of Troy and Paris. Helen, the most beautiful woman in the world, was married to King Menelaus of Sparta. Paris, a prince of Troy, fell madly in love with her and, with the help of the goddess Aphrodite, abducted her, taking her to Troy. This act ignited the Trojan War, a decade-long conflict that led to countless deaths and destruction. Helen's love for Paris was complicated by her loyalty to her original husband, and the war caused immense suffering on both sides. The story of Helen and Paris reflects how love, when entangled with destiny and war, can lead to devastating consequences that affect not just the lovers, but entire civilizations. Another tale is that of Aphrodite and Adonis. Aphrodite, the goddess of love, was deeply in love with Adonis, a mortal whose beauty was unrivaled. Their love was a source of great joy for Aphrodite, but it was marred by tragedy. Adonis, despite Aphrodite's warnings, was killed by a wild boar during a hunt. His death sent Aphrodite into deep mourning, and she pleaded with the gods to allow Adonis to return to life. The gods granted her wish, but only for part of the year, leaving Aphrodite to live with the pain of separation for the rest of the time. This story demonstrates the fleeting nature of joy and the enduring pain of love lost. Even the gods were not immune to the pains of love and tragedy. The tale of Zeus and Semele is a testament to this. Zeus, enamored with the mortal Semele, pursued her despite the risks. Hera, jealous and vengeful, tricked Semele into demanding that Zeus reveal his divine form to her. When Zeus complied, his godly presence was too overwhelming for Semele, who perished in the blaze. Zeus saved their unborn child, Dionysus, and raised him, but the tragedy of Semele's fate was a constant reminder of the perils of divine and mortal love. In each of these myths, love is depicted as both a powerful force and a source of deep pain. The characters' intense emotions and tragic fates resonate through the ages, showing that the ancient Greeks understood love's potential for both joy and suffering. The stories of Orpheus and Eurydice, Pyramus and Thisbe, Helen and Paris, Aphrodite and Adonis, and Zeus and Semele illustrate how love can lead to both extraordinary beauty and profound sorrow. These myths, though set in a world of gods and heroes, echo the timeless human experiences of love, loss, and the inescapable intertwining of joy and tragedy. Imagine a world where gods, heroes, and mythical creatures are as real as the people around you. This is the world created by Greek mythology, a rich tapestry of stories that has captivated and influenced Western culture for centuries. These ancient myths have seeped into every corner of literature, art, and modern storytelling, shaping our understanding of heroism, morality, and the very essence of the human experience. Take a look at literature, where the echoes of Greek myths reverberate through the ages. Classic works like Homer's The Iliad and the Odyssey set the foundation for epic storytelling. Their themes of heroism, fate, and divine intervention are mirrored in countless modern novels. Think of the trials of Odysseus and his journey home. These tales of perseverance and longing resonate in contemporary epics and fantasy sagas. Authors such as J.K. Rowling and George R.R. Martin have woven elements of Greek mythology into their own worlds, crafting characters and plot lines that echo the struggles and triumphs of ancient heroes. In art, Greek mythology has left an indelible mark. The grandeur of ancient Greek sculptures and pottery tells stories of gods and heroes frozen in moments of divine drama. Michelangelo's David, while not directly depicting a mythological figure, captures the same essence of heroic strength found in figures like Hercules. The Renaissance artists were particularly enchanted by Greek myths, using them as inspiration to explore human emotion and form. This influence persists today in modern art, where mythical themes and symbols continue to inspire and challenge artists. Modern storytelling, from movies to video games, owes a great deal to Greek mythology. Hollywood blockbusters like Clash of the Titans and Percy Jackson and the Olympians bring ancient myths to life, introducing new generations to the adventures of Hercules, Theseus, and Perseus. These films blend age-old stories with contemporary visuals, making the gods and monsters of old relevant and exciting for today's audiences. Video games like God of War allow players to engage directly with mythological worlds, battling monsters and interacting with gods, blending interactive entertainment with mythic storytelling. Even in everyday language, Greek mythology's influence is profound. Phrases like Achilles' heel or Pandora's box have become common idioms, carrying the weight of their mythological origins. These expressions not only enrich our language but also remind us of the timeless lessons embedded in these ancient tales. Moreover, Greek myths have provided a framework for exploring complex themes such as power, justice, and human nature. The tragic flaws of characters like Oedipus or the moral dilemmas faced by figures such as Prometheus offer timeless insights into the human condition. These themes continue to resonate in modern literature and media, reflecting our ongoing fascination with the moral and ethical questions posed by these ancient stories. The impact of Greek mythology on Western culture is both vast and deeply personal. Each story, whether it's about a hero's quest, a god's vengeance, or a mortal's tragic fate, speaks to something fundamental within us. They are more than just ancient tales, they are reflections of our own struggles, triumphs, and the eternal quest for meaning. As we read, watch, and create, the influence of Greek mythology remains a powerful reminder of our shared human experiences and the stories that connect us across time and space. In the quiet moments when the world feels vast and mysterious, the myths of ancient Greece stir like echoes from the past, whispering tales of gods and heroes that continue to shape our understanding of life. These stories, born from the minds of people long gone, reach across centuries with an almost magical force, revealing truths about human nature, faith, and the unending quest for meaning. At the heart of these myths is a powerful reflection on humanity itself. Greek myths are not just ancient tales, they are profound explorations of the human condition. They grapple with timeless questions. What does it mean to be courageous? How do we face our deepest fears? What is the nature of fate and free will? Through the gods who command thunder and heroes who conquer monsters, these stories offer answers that still resonate deeply today. Consider the tale of Prometheus, who defied Zeus to bring fire to humanity. His story is more than a legend, it's a poignant reminder of the struggle between defiance and punishment, innovation and retribution. Prometheus's gift to mankind is a symbol of human creativity and the often painful consequences that come with pushing the boundaries of the known world. It reflects our own aspirations and the sacrifices we make in pursuit of progress. Then there's the story of Oedipus, whose tragic fate unfolds despite his best efforts to escape it. His tale is a powerful commentary on the nature of destiny and human agency. It speaks to our deepest fears of inevitability and the heartache of trying to alter a course set by forces beyond our control. Oedipus's journey reminds us of the fragile line between determination and despair, and the ever-present tension between our desires and the paths we find ourselves on. These myths also delve into the nature of divine influence and human morality. The gods of Olympus, with their capriciousness and grandeur, are not mere abstractions but reflections of the very human traits they embody: pride, jealousy, love, and vengeance. They interact with humans in ways that reveal both the beauty and the tragedy of human experience. The divine dramas unfold as mirrors of our own lives, showing how personal failings and virtues can echo through the ages. The enduring nature of these stories lies in their ability to connect with us on a deeply emotional level. They speak to our fears, dreams, and aspirations, offering a lens through which we can view our own struggles and triumphs. Whether it's the heroic journey of Hercules, the tragic love of Orpheus and Eurydice, or the moral dilemmas faced by Antigone, each myth captures something fundamental about the human spirit. Greek myths also serve as a rich source of inspiration for modern storytelling. From literature to film, these ancient stories provide a treasure trove of archetypes and themes that continue to captivate audiences. The heroes, gods, and monsters of Greek mythology have become symbols that transcend their origins, embodying qualities and conflicts that are as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago. In our own lives, the lessons from these myths offer guidance and reflection. The struggles of the gods and heroes remind us of the importance of resilience, the value of moral courage, and the complexity of human relationships. They encourage us to confront our own challenges with bravery and to seek meaning in our actions and decisions. As we look back on these ancient stories, it's clear that their legacy is not just in their narrative power, but in their ability to resonate with the essence of what it means to be human. They remind us that despite the passage of time, the core experiences of joy, sorrow, love, and loss remain unchanged. Greek mythology, with its rich tapestry of gods and heroes, serves as a testament to the timeless quest for understanding and the enduring power of storytelling to illuminate the human condition.